Welcome, everybody, to the Room250 podcast, where creatives have a conversation and hopefully inspire current and future designers to crush their creative goals one pixel at a time. I'm one of three hosts, Arturo Pete Peralta. I'm joined by my two best friends, Martin Edosoy Bautista and David Patrick Sly. And tonight we are joined by a master of illustration, a big pusher of Adobe Illustrator. I mean, just masterclass level, Mr. Roberto Orozco.
Hey,
Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Papa.
I am here. I made it.
Yeah,
I had
you
to
did
rush
it.
and get my beer because you guys were drinking. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. There we go.
Before we start the show, we always go, what's everybody drinking?
I'm simple. I got a little post jujitsu Michelob Ultra. You know.
Yeah.
That's the best after a workout, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, Modelo.
You're always
Damn,
with the chilada.
Limon is salt, chilada.
Damn.
There we go. Did you
Put some
leftover
tahini on
from my
that?
birthday party?
Okay.
I always like to rock
like
the
it.
Atomic Duck IPA.
Oh, I've
Abel
seen
Baker.
those around. Yeah.
IPAs is my thing. I love those things.
Abel Baker, man, gotta support our community and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I tried IPAs one time, and it was one time for me.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's definitely an acquired taste. First
Yeah,
time I had
for
them, I was
sure.
like, not my shit whatsoever. But if you only have one on an empty stomach, you pound one and you're like, I got my buzz going, I'm good. I don't need any more.
So
I
I
tried
found
double
this,
and a triple.
I found this gem this weekend. My buddy introduced me to this. It's a Paloma. It's from my buddy Canelo. That's his brand.
You know him personally?
Nah, man, my buddy.
Buddy?
You know. Mexican, not Mexican. We're not
Canelo.
cousins. We're probably cousins, bro. I don't know.
I
He's
know
like-
him,
he's a guy-
He draws.
He's like, I know him. I know him. We do
Primo,
this thing.
Primo Canelo. Yeah.
He's like, we do this thing where he ignores me, like he doesn't know me, but he knows me.
He knows me.
Mm.
When I scream at him in public and he ignores me, he knows me.
So good,
He
bro.
walks
So
away.
Nothing but
good.
up.
Knows me.
Yeah.
Well,
Primo.
cheers, gentlemen. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
Cheers.
boys.
Yeah.
To a good and fortuitous podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So again, welcome to the podcast, brother. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I know you're a busy man, and it's awesome that you're. From what I've seen in your career, I've been following it for maybe about 5 to 6 years, and just seeing your skill set shoot up so much.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that you
Thank
do,
brother.
stalking you a little bit on Instagram, seeing your new love for weapons, which I'm all for. I'm all for the pew pew, or the pew pew on that. So
I do.
um,
I'm kind of a nerd with that stuff, and I'm
You know,
lucky
and
that
seeing
I
you-
sometimes get to work with them too.
no, that's awesome. Yeah, I know. I've seen those
Yeah.
illustrations and some of the stuff that you do, and even do some like some patchwork.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Take us through how you started. How did you end up in this career path? Is this something you kind of fell into, something you've always been passionate about? Like, tell us the story of Orozco Design.
Roberto.
Yeah, that's a great
Roberto.
question. Well,
Roberto's journey.
bueno, my story is started. No,
he's like, the taco shop? That's where I started.
funny story. I worked at one in high school, and I met the owner. I met Roberto himself one day, so that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, I worked at a taco shop in high school, and they paid me in food, as you can see, which turned out great. It was
For those of you that don't know, here in Las Vegas, one of the taco shops is Roberto's. Open 24 hours. I mean, it's a staple here in Las Vegas. You're out in the club in your 20s or early 30s. You stop
That's
and you
the
get some
place to go,
Roberto's,
bro.
sobers you
Standard.
up. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's either that or pho,
Standard.
and it was just it's delicious. The carne asada
You're
fries
drunk.
or the 3-roll tacos. Damn.
And you're hammered. Let's go to Roberto's, man. You
Pretty
can't
much.
fail. Okay, where to start? I've been drawing my whole life. That's one thing, right? But honestly, design was more of an accident. So it started in college. I went to college and I took fine art and I was good at it. But I kind of, over time, realized I didn't quite fit into the fine art world. And I was kind of not let down, but more or less just like, this isn't my crowd. I'm not really fitting in. And I didn't see what kind of potential I had as a fine artist. You know what I mean? If that's a way to put it. Painting and charcoal and classic stuff, which admittedly I'm good at, but I just didn't resonate with. And like, this is when Instagram was first coming out. And my friend told me, check out Instagram. I got on there and started looking up art, and I found digital art. So I was like, oh my God, like the stuff these guys were doing on Wacom tablets and crazy cool shit. I was like, okay, that hit a note. I was like, fuck yeah, I want to do that. So I started researching, well, how do I learn that? And then the irony of everything is originally I wanted to do animation. They didn't have the animation program, so I went to fine art. Didn't like fine art. Then I went to graphic design because that's where you learn the digital tools and such. Didn't really like graphic design at first. I felt it was like the fucking logos and typography and letterheads and letterpress. And
that's my world, bro.
I know. Dude, it was like alien. I was like, what the fuck? This isn't, where's the cool shit? I want to draw stuff. But little by little, it hit me, and I was like, I could live off. It felt like a trade more than like a superfluous, like, I draw things and people like them kind of thing, you know? And it just kind of grew on me little by little, and kind of to this day, I hated typography with passion. But it grew on me because I realized I don't have to do typography in the sense of like classical typography. What if I threw my illustrative touch to it, right? So I started to respect it a lot. And I started researching it on my own. I bought books on typography, hand lettering, illustration, and just little by little, like, fell in love with like the digital side of things. And I realized, like, okay, this could actually be a thing. And then Draplin blew up, Hydra 74 blew up, John Contino, like those guys were super inspirational to me because they were on their own. Sorry if my cat's man. He's annoying.
No worries.
But to me, I was like, yo, these guys are on their own. They're freelance. They're doing their own thing. Like, hell yeah, I want to do that. And I've never been the type of person that like could like fit into like a corporate environment. It's not a demeanor attitude thing. It's just I'm very like, I wouldn't say opinionated, but I tend to like speak my mind a little bit. And a lot of times in corporate environments, that's not a fault of anyone or any kind of structure. It's just, that's just how I am, right? Every corporate environment I've been in, it never worked out. So I realized, okay, freelance I like it. The only person that can fuck it up is me. So, okay, I'll do it. So in college, I started freelancing. And I had a job. Funny enough, at the time, I was a manager at a gun shop. So, like, I already had my feet wet in that world a bit, and I was into shooting and, like, really into that stuff. And, like, even then, I started doing, like, design for the shop and basic stuff, flyers, just all the basic stuff you start with because that's how you get your feet wet.
Here in the Valley?
Yeah. Oh, this was 2015, 2014. It was a while ago.
What gun shop?
Extreme Ventures. They're not here anymore. They moved.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I realized, like, okay, this guy, he's excited.
So what you doing?
He wants to be on the podcast.
Feed me.
Yeah.
That's all they care about. Feed me. But man, like, I don't know. It kind of hit me like I could kind of do this. So I started like venturing into vector art. And mid-college, I learned Illustrator. And it was a hard, like a steep learning curve because going from traditional to digital, everything was alien to me. All the programs were like hard as fuck to figure out. And oh my bad, can I curse on here? I know we're doing
We're drinking, we're cursing.
We're going
it's a professional fucking podcast, all right?
Yeah, what the fuck, man? Come on, bro.
Our CEO's
corporate
podcast.
Shit.
Hey man, this is a corporate environment. We're gonna have to take it to HR. So little by little, I started kind of reaching out, and then one day, my friend Luis, credit to him, he like tagged me on Rascal Apparel's page, and they were looking for like an artist, and he tagged me, and the owner, Omar Isaf, he's my first client. It was Rascal Apparel. He reaches out to me. He's like, hey, we need apparel designs. You think you could do this, that? I'm like, sure. And at the beginning, I didn't know shit about contract. I didn't know anything. I was like, I'll fucking do it. I needed the experience. I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So I jumped head first and like started banging out a bunch of apparel projects, and little by little, like as they say, the rest is history. But it's like from then on, I realized, okay, I can do this. So let's fucking write it out, you know? And it's, don't get me wrong, freelance has been the hardest thing I've ever endeavored to do in my life. Like it is, sometimes
It's a
it can be
nonstop
feast or
job.
famine. It's nonstop from the
Yeah.
moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, because there's so many things that you don't see online that you're doing. Emailing, client calls, leads, all the business shit that, like, ironically I was trying to run away from is the bulk of what you have to do to survive. So in a weird
Chasing
twist of fate,
clients.
yeah, you got to chase
For the money,
clients,
yeah.
build clientele, and then
billing.
build the
That's the
rapport
biggest
with
part.
them. You know, and then figuring out contracts, like actually like making sure you have solid contracts and making sure you have a good way of like providing for yourself, accounting, all the fucking boring shit, but
Taxes
are a motherfucker every year. So, and it's different when you're freelance. Like you have to cut that check and give it to them, you know? So it's a whole different experience. And I wouldn't change it for anything, however stressful it can get. But man, like in the last, I'd say, year to 2 years, it's really gone up. And obviously there's slow times, there's moments where things kind of die down, but in general, it's been more and more every year, which I'm very blessed to say. But it also has its own stresses of like, okay, and now I'm dealing with like bigger clients, bigger budgets, expectations, deadlines. You're now in like client calls that are like Zoom calls like this with like the head of marketing, creative director, art director, and you're like, I'm just a fucking guy who draws. I don't know what I'm doing, you know? Like, and they're talking all these big timeline budgets and this and that, and you're just like following along. Oh shit, okay, yeah. But you learn, kind of like by being put in that, you learn a lot. I mean, honestly, that's how I got into it, man. It's just wanting to be an artist and realizing that there was an avenue for it that wasn't conventional was really what drew me. And I still do logos. I'll still do business cards. Like all the traditional stuff, I've come to really respect it and really try to understand it and realize that it's its own expertise. Like when I talk to people and explain it, like illustration is one column of things that has its own skills and ways of approach. And then design is totally different.
Yeah.
They can overlap, but they are separate things in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, you have to approach things differently. When someone says, "Oh, just make me a logo," it's like, it's not that simple, dude. It really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I've really come to respect like classic traditional design versus illustration. They're totally two different sides of the brain for me, the way I approach it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you touched on a lot of good things there. Yeah, I mean that's an awesome journey. I know I freelanced for a couple of years myself. You know, I've done the corporate thing and then freelance and then corporate thing, and it's you learn a lot. It is a lot of pain in the ass, you know, doing the accounting and sending invoices and oh shit, did I send this invoice? And then, you know, client doesn't pay and it's been past 30 days, 45 days, and you're like, oh, I didn't put a clause in that in my invoice. Now I know for the second one, you know, I got to penalize them because any other employer would do the same thing. You know, if you're late on a bill, a credit card bill, they're going to hit you on interest and all this other stuff. How to build in certain stuff. So yeah, freelance is fun, but it's also a huge, huge hustle. But I also learned a lot when, like you mentioned, you know, you get brought into these meetings and you're like, just tell me what the fuck you want. Like, what do you guys want? You know, I don't care about, you know, you're meeting with this client on this time. Like, that's your guys' fucking business. I want to know what you want from me. When do you need it by? And how long is this gonna take me? Okay, cool. It's gonna cost you X amount. So yeah, I totally understand. So did you go to like CSN or are you here locally? Did you like grow up here in Vegas or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
what high school did you go to?
Valley. I went to Valley High School.
Boo.
Yeah, go Vikings. I got beat up a lot.
I went to Valley too, bro.
Oh,
I went to Valley. Yeah.
Is that on Bonanza?
No, Eastern.
Yeah.
Eastern and
Sahara.
Karen.
Eastern and Sahara.
Karen.
Yeah, that's more exact, but nobody fucking knows where Karen is.
Hey, Robert.
So. Yeah.
They
had an Army ROTC.
ROTC.
I remember that. Yeah, they had an Army ROTC. Yeah.
Robert, they're just fucking jealous because they can't be Vikings, bro.
No.
That's it. No. We're fucking Vikings, bro.
We're Shield.
What are you, a fucking bulldog?
Yeah,
We're a
I am.
shield.
Yeah, bulldog.
You're just a shield.
You're just a
Yeah,
shield.
I'm the Cheyenne Shields.
You're just an object.
Don't you treat me like one, all right?
You're what we use to defend ourselves, Sly.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. We'll grab you and use you. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay,
I like
so
that.
you're an actual like native Las Vegas
Las-
native.
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Born in Venezuela,
Okay.
raised in Miami, and then at 10,
All right.
11 years old, we moved to Vegas, and then that's the rest is history. We're in
Oh wow, my brother.
so
Yeah,
more
okay.
Vegas than Florida, but I always claim Miami and Florida just because like my family was there and everything.
No, of course,
but
of course. Yeah,
really,
yeah.
I'm from Vegas. If we're talking,
You are in Las Vegas,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved here with my family when I was 11 too, from California. So I mean, to me, still like Santa Ana, it's yeah, I'm part.
You
Cali,
yeah,
for
you're
sure,
kind
but-
of like those were your formative years, but
Yeah.
you're more Vegas than anything. But still, when you
Yeah,
look back,
yeah,
you're like
no.
you remember that more.
I'm the only
For
true
sure.
vegan here, all right?
whatever. Bro.
Is
So
One
you're not,
years old.
you're not
1 year old, I moved
you're,
here.
you're through and through Vegas, born and raised.
Not born, all right?
Oh,
So
so
you-
you-
moved
yeah,
here-
yeah.
I moved here when I was 1. No formative years.
Don't matter,
all
bro.
When
You were
1
born
years
here, don't
old, I
matter.
moved here.
You poser.
Aren't you from like? Weren't you born in Florida, Sly?
I was born in.
Oh, you're a
By the
fellow
way-
Floridian. All right,
Yeah.
there we go.
We're all
Yeah.
connected, bro.
I use this slang that we grew up with. I don't use this new slang. So poser, don't be a poser, Sly.
Yeah, you're
Um,
dating yourself right there.
That's
No
okay,
cap,
man.
for real,
That's
for
all right.
real.
I'll use word also. Word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
dude. Age comes quick when you start realizing the words you're using just aren't it anymore.
I can't use fire. I
You
can't use
can't.
fire. I can't
can't,
use fire.
no.
That's not my thing, man. I can't be like, yo,
Nope.
that's fire. No, I feel like I could punch
Yeah,
myself in the
okay.
face for that one.
You can't say that, yet you go on Instagram and people send the fire emoji. So that's fire.
That's different though. That's different.
That's a
to me.
loophole.
Different.
That's
That's
a
a
Yeah,
loophole.
yeah.
That's
It's an emoji. It's an emoji.
That's
Like,
acceptable.
yeah.
It's
Anyway,
new
That to me
age
is like-
fire.
That to me is like your shit's on fire, your shit's hot, not your
Yeah, like that
fire.
shit's fire.
No, your
Mm.
shit's on fire, like your stuff's hot, not that's fire. That's
This is
fire.
turning into
Okay.
a philosophy debate real
All right,
quick.
let's
yeah.
go.
Anyways,
Hey,
So-
I have
so
a
did you
question.
go-
Go ahead. Go ahead.
so did you go to CSN or did you go to the Art Institute?
CSN. I tried Art Institute and they were like, "Give us $86,000." I was like, "Fuck that! No,
You're
thank
smart. Smart man.
you."
That's what my wife said.
It was. I was like, and I went and I did their little like curriculum thing to find out where you place.
Uh-huh.
And they told me, "Oh, you'll be good for graphic design." I was like, "But I want to do character design." That was what I really wanted, was character design for video games. That was the shit to me. And I showed them my portfolio, and they're like, "You're actually really talented. You're a great artist, but you have to do the stupid curriculum thing." And I did that, and they
What?
still wanted $86,000, and I was like,
When
So-
did you try to go?
"Oh man, this was like." I tried initially right after high school, like 08, 09, 07, around that time frame.
That's
And
when I
then-
went.
Yeah, and then I tried again.
Oh, wow.
When did I try? I tried again in like 2012, right around there. I want to say it was a long time ago, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
more the second time I went. And I
Yeah.
talked a lot. I went and talked to the counselors, did the full tour, went into the classrooms. Like I was ready for it, and then they dropped the bill, and I was like,
Wow, dude, that's awesome. Like, well, not awesome. Like, that's crazy. That I believe in the whole 6 degrees of separation. Like, you're literally intertwined while we were at the Art Institute.
"You guys
You
actually
know, that's
went?
that's nuts.
Yeah, all three of us went.
all three of us went. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Are you still paying? like,
What?
they gave you the
thank,
bill?
thank you, Mr. Biden.
Mr. Biden just forgave them. I just actually paid mine off. Just
Oh,
recently.
here's my thing.
You should've
Bro,
had
I was
that.
paying-
bro, Sly's just a fucking hater. Don't listen to
Hey.
him. He's a hater.
It's paid
No,
off.
he-
It's paid off. But
Okay,
I
okay.
I took a private loan to refinance mine, so I couldn't get it
Nice.
paid off by Biden. So that's why they
paying
got
mine
theirs
off.
paid
It wasn't.
off. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
paying mine off, and then this happened, and I'm like, I didn't ask for it, but I'm also not gonna bitch about it. So
Yeah.
bittersweet. Anyways,
I'm not
no, I'm not. I didn't say that.
man.
I'm not saying that at all.
Martin, I'm not bitching.
Yeah,
the
but
sticker-
it's
the
just
sticker-
crazy.
Yeah, the sticker tag scared me for sure because in my
Yeah.
mind I did the math. I was like, okay, if I graduate, and I get an entry level position, and it's gonna have to be out of state because there's no game like true. At the time, there wasn't any like all we have is gaming for like casinos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time, everyone kind of looked at that as like the dead end of art. Now, as an adult, I'm like, probably should have done it. But, you know, looking back at it, you're like, no, I want to go to California.
And you were like, how old were you at this time that you were doing this?
I was 20. So out of high school, I was like 18, 17, 18 the first time I went.
You're pretty smart, bro. For being that young and realizing, like, I don't want this bill.
Well,
when they told me the bill, I was like, okay.
That's how they got me.
And I was 25, bro. I was stupid. I was like, the way I thought it was like, oh, I'm gonna get educated. I'm gonna make bank, and I'll be able to pay it off because that's the way it should work. But no, that's not the way it works.
Yeah, I guess having the life that I lived, as far as like not growing up rich and kind of being really poor, I had to like learn to take care of myself pretty quick. And when they told me that, I was like, okay, I graduate, go to some job, entry level, max pay is like $33K, not including the fact that like there's taxes, cost of living, and everything. How am I gonna fucking pay this? I just realized like there's no way I could pay this in time unless like I fucking go on the greatest run in history is like I go entry level and in 2 years art director and in 3-4 years and then finally I'm making enough to where it didn't make sense to me. Bam. He did it.
I got art director in 1 year. Boom.
Hey, good for you, man. Like fuck yeah. Look at him.
No, I mean, it's sticker price is a shock, you know. Like for me, if Uncle Sam wasn't paying for my tuition, that also would have been a turnoff for me.
Oh, it's
because
true.
it was, you know. I think I got locked in at, and we covered this on episode 0, which is actually uploading for everyone listening. Okay. But you know, I think I got locked in at 91 or 92,000. And then I remember kids, 1 quarter or 2 quarters after, were like at 120,000, and I'm like, how the fuck did it jump that high that quick? Yeah. And they were quitting after like one quarter, and I'm like, like there's no way. But you know, honestly, at the end of the day, like after I have my degree and everything, I will still do it again, just because of the talent that taught us what we know now.
Yeah.
The talent. I've seen the talent at CSN, and I'm not bashing CSN, I'm not bashing UNLV, but AI was like leaps and bounds ahead of everyone. I mean, we had amazing teachers, and that's the teachers. The teachers were the ones that were teaching us so much more shit. I don't agree on that price tag whatsoever. You know, I think the price tag could have cost 50,000, and that would have been great.
I will say this. Fair. Like that's fair. Okay, so you guys know of Dan McElhatton, right, at CSN?
We did.
I interviewed him like a couple episodes ago.
Oh, excellent. Okay, he was the only shining light that I learned the most from in college.
Thank you.
Other than him, there was another professor, Jonathan Barini, I think it was. He was a great professor too. Very,
I know Barini.
He was great. He
served on the AIJA board with me.
Yes, he was great. Everyone else, no offense, was dog shit.
Yeah.
Now, what I mean by that was there were professors that you could tell they were just there for tenure and just doing the basic. Like, you weren't learning shit. Like, I learned most of my shit from YouTube, from like really trying on my own. And then Barini was the one where I actually learned a shit ton of technical skills, like actual, like if you were like learning a martial art, he was a good instructor that taught you how to actually do techniques and apply them, right?
Nice.
McElhatton was more of like I'm putting in jiu-jitsu terms because I train a lot. But
that's good.
He was like a competition coach. He was going to put you under the fire and like really roast your ass to see if you had what it takes.
Fucking Pete. Fucking Pete.
Yeah.
That's Pete's teaching style for sure.
That makes me like, so Robert, that makes me so happy that you had those slights in your journeys. And it kind of makes me sad, but I understand that like even in our industry and every industry, there's going to be people that are like amazing. And then there's going to be people that are in between, and there's people that are really shitty. But that's how it is in every industry.
So, that's human existence. Yeah. It doesn't matter where you go. But honestly, like once because I remember in college, I was finally over the hump of learning shit that I'll never use again, which is one thing that annoys me about college, right? I understand that if you're young, you're trying to find out what it is you're trying to do, but why the fuck do I need calculus? Why, like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I'm wasting my time.
Because you need to figure
money.
out bleed and AOVO and crop areas.
I need to figure out
and,
X, Y, and the bleed calculated divided by.
Right?
No.
What's the circumference of this?
We just need measurements, decimal points, and I think that's about it, right?
That's it, man.
But like Danny said on our prior guest, sometimes you have to go out there and measure shit. So you have to figure out, know your fractions and decimals and conversions.
You're not doing
calculus wise. Yes, I understand that part.
Can you imagine?
Nothing a phone can't do. All right.
Literally, all the algebra stuff just starts coming out in front of your face. Like, no, it's not. No. And don't get me wrong, there were classes that I enjoyed and I learned from, and I think that's a good thing. But when finally you get over that hump and you're actually learning the shit that you have to learn, I felt like the last year and a half, 2 years of college were like, oh, finally I'm learning what I'm fucking paying for, design stuff.
Nice.
And then I remember asking other students, like, so I'm thinking of taking like all full credits for the semester. I'm thinking of taking the at the time, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the final class. And this kid straight up told me, it's like, don't fucking do it with all the other stuff. Only do his class by itself. Like, really? He's like, he's gonna like grind you to the bone, and his class workload is like a full workload for a whole semester. I'm like, fuck, okay. So I did that. I only took his class, and I actually took like 2 other classes, which was a mistake. But man, like, he ran it like an agency, and I needed that at the time. Like,
that was Dan.
Dan ran it like an agency. He's like, and straight off the bat, he's like, I'm not gonna baby you.
Fucking dope. I love that.
I'm not gonna teach you shit. If you want to learn something, go to YouTube. Like, you have deadlines. You have this. This is your workload. This is what you have to do. Pop, 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 pop. This is what's due next week. Bam, right off the bat. And kids were folding like, they were dropping like flies, dude. We had our class had almost like 28 kids. We had 4 at the end of the semester. 4.
Damn.
Me and 3 other kids. It was.
Did you have
finish.
freelance at that time as well? Did you have freelance experience?
Little bit, not a lot. A little bit where I was just taking like some apparel stuff here and there, but it wasn't like my full-time focus. I had a job and everything, but in retrospect, like, the stress level was through the roof, like, for sure. I mean, it was intense. But I remember pulling out of the class at one point because I was so behind. And Dan said, look, I'm only telling you this because I hate saying this, it sounds braggadocious, but this is what he said. He goes, you're very talented, and I don't want to see someone like you fall off. Like, he said, you have like an actual chance of being good at this. And I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll suck it up. And I didn't have any money. Like, I'm a college student, working a full-time job, but back then, like, it's not fucking great money. So I'm paying for school on my own. I had a little bit of help from my parents, but they didn't have a lot of money either. So I had to pay most of everything on my own, whatever help I got. Like, thank God they were there to help me. But I had to then get a portfolio, business cards, like the full thing that we do every year, that presentation. I had to pay all that out of pocket. I'm like, fuck, how am I going to do this? And I got everything in the day of. Like, it wasn't like I was prepared. Like, the day of, I got everything. I had to rush to go pick it up at DHL. Like, it was chaos. Did the final, like, not an exam, it's like a final showing, and then the portfolio show, and everyone grades your stuff. I got best in class, and I realized, like, okay, thank God I got this over with. Like, this, I have a shot at this. Okay. And ever since then, man, it's just been, my goal has been freelance and nothing else, But I'm very
easy since then.
Fuck no, it's been harder and harder and harder.
So, Robert, in your journey, did you hit any walls where you were just like devastated and you were like, "Fuck, maybe I should"?
No.
Either like you felt like defeated, or you felt like I should not be doing this shit. Maybe I should go somewhere else or try a different path. And if you did, what was that, and what changed your mind?
I think it comes in cycles. So I think artists in general, we attach ourselves a lot to our work. And then if your work isn't doing good, you're not getting a lot of clients, you start thinking, I fucking suck. I'm not good enough.
I agree on that one.
I'm not like cut out for this shit. Look, like, you start comparison is where you really hurt yourself, because you start looking at people that are really up there, and you go, that guy's fucking crushing it, and I'm over here fighting for pennies. Like, I can't. make it, it happens, man. You go through lows. And then there are times where you're so busy that the stress is like, fuck, I have so much work. I don't know what I'm going to do with my time. Like, it's very, it can be like that. But absolutely, there are moments where, and I have to give credit to my wife. She's the one that's really like told me, like, no, like, keep fucking going for it. Keep fighting. Like, she flat out told me, like, you can't work anywhere else. Like, this is you. You have to keep doing this. And there were many times where I just felt like I can't do this anymore. I'm stressed out. I'm not getting enough clients, or I'm not getting enough big clients, or whatever the fuck, right? And you're stressing, and then all of a sudden, a shit ton of work comes out of nowhere. Like, you didn't even try to get it. It just shows up. And now the stress has flipped, and you realize, okay, maybe I can kind of do this. Like, okay, maybe there's some self-reassurance. You get imposter syndrome. You start thinking like, no, I'm not good. And I think every creative goes through that in one way or another. It's natural to us. And I think it's because I guess the way I look at it, I do attach myself a little bit to my work, and I put a lot of myself into my work. And I was just on a call the other day with like a potential client, and he was saying like, I looked at your work, and like I could, just from talking to you, like, I get why your work is the way it is. It's a lot of you. And I was like, oh, okay. I never realized that till someone else said it in an outside perspective. So I kind of realized, like, yeah, I pour a lot of who I am into what I do. And that's why we get so attached to our work, where then if no one's like appreciating it or whatever, like, you then start to think, well, am I not good enough? Am I not built for this? Am I not cut out to actually be an artist? Like, honestly, the best thing that can happen when you start, which helped me a lot, is literally work through it. So what I like to do sometimes, like if I slow down on something, I start working on personal passion projects just to get that creative juice still flowing, because negative spirals, man, they can eat you right up. I've been there where it's all I think about from the moment I wake up to the moment I fall asleep. It's just fuck, shit, like it's nonstop. But once I started like, okay, you know what? Let me just figure things out, and actually start reaching out to people, reaching out to potential clients. You'd be surprised how open people are to, if you just like knock on their door and say, hey, do you need some art? Like, I know it sounds funny, but they're like, actually, yeah, we do. We need this. And you're like, oh, okay, I need to do more of that. Because I've had the unfortunate thing where my last Instagram got really big. And then, that was my main form of income. People would contact me there, and then go to my website and so forth. And then a bunch of bots went in and claimed everything. Like, every single post was claimed by a bot.
What?
Oh yeah, this was like 2 years ago. I want to say, yeah, about 2 years ago. And at first, I thought, okay, this isn't normal, but I'll try and like tell Instagram, like, hey, what's going on? Like, this doesn't make, because everything got claimed within seconds of each other. It wasn't like a person went through like everything instantly within seconds of each other got claimed. And I said, okay, this is odd. Like, I started researching who did the claim. I found out that they're based in China. And then I found out. Yeah. And then I started asking other artists that were dealing with that same company. And they said, oh yeah, dude, you're kind of SOL. What they do is they'll claim your account. And then the reason they do that is because then that way they can kind of hold your shit on social media, and they'll put it on their social media. And they have a bunch of these weird shops in China that's all they do is steal art. It's kind of, I didn't know this was a thing. It happened to me, unfortunately, but they claimed everything. And they even went after my personal account, and they started claiming stuff that I didn't even do. Like, stuff that I didn't even draw, they were claiming just because, like, they could do it. And I messaged Instagram and Meta and like crazy. But the thing is, Meta doesn't have people. Like, they just have, excuse me, the beer's catching me. They got bots. Like, when you talk to someone,
this is a fucking professional podcast.
Yeah. Stop burping, please. Jeez.
Stop burping, please. Stop drinking alcohol, please.
Burp after you drink beer. Come on.
Dude, like, I was messaging Instagram left and right, and I would get copy and paste answers every single time. Just with a different signature.
That's fucking
name.
terrible.
So I realized
bots searching for bots.
That's it. You can't tell a bot to unbot the bot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it was like a vicious spiral of getting nowhere. And I kept trying left and right, trying to reach out. I even tried to like ask a guy who knew a guy on Instagram. He's like, I can try, but there's no guarantee that they'll give a shit because you're not the only one with the problem. Right?
Yeah.
And there was nothing I could do. Instagram literally was like, well, too bad, so sad. Right. So I just kind of gave
Jesus
up on that and
Christ.
said, screw it. I'm done with that. Like, I tried for months to get it resolved. And after talking to a few other people that had the same thing happen, they're like, once Instagram makes a decision, even if they're wrong, they stick to the decision. When they ban you, like, very rarely they're going to unban, unless it's like clearly like an egregious kind of fuck up. But the problem is, for them to do that, you got to crack through like their wall of bots. And unfortunately, I couldn't. So I kind of just took that one on the chin, let that account go, and then just had to restart. But now I don't really put a lot of emphasis on social media. I try to push more on like directly contacting people, reaching them out, whether it's email, LinkedIn, actually surprisingly good, and pushing through Behance and Dribble and other kind of design-centric places where traffic's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But Instagram's changed, man. Instagram is definitely creepy now. Like, it's not
So
what
do
it
you-
used to be by any means.
You just try to put everything on those websites and like your own website instead of posting your
1000%.
artwork now.
I mean, I'm gonna post my stuff on Instagram, but I don't expect the same level of engagement or the same. I had a few people that like found my new account, like, what happened? I was following you and then you disappeared, and I told them everything, and they're like, oh man, like that sucks, because like we were looking for you. Even when I did like Level Up and a few other cons, people were like, couldn't find you on social media. I'm like, so yeah, robots.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's one of those things that really that hurt. It did hurt, because that was my main form of connecting with people and getting potential clients to come in as a freelancer.
Wow.
Now
So what's
I
your-
have to. Okay.
So what's your advice, like, with up and coming artists, like wanting to network, and obviously Instagram and TikTok are the big social platforms,
They are.
mainly more TikTok. Like, do you suggest artists still uploading to these sites and promoting themselves that way, or going the more traditional route, the Behance, the Dribbles, where artists support artists?
Of course. I say cast as big a net as you can, meaning do all of them if you can. It's very social media is a job on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, what I've seen now, the trendy, everyone's doing the pointing and the tutorials and the dancing.
Dude, I saw you do that the other day. That shit was hilarious. Like, don't fucking do this shit. Do it this way. And I'm like, that's like 4 other steps that I need to fucking do to get the same result.
I don't have a problem. So, like, the way I look at social media now, everything's been TikTokified, which exactly that's like maybe it's an age thing, surely, but you're gonna start mewing.
I literally like just downloaded TikTok for this podcast, and TikTok was fucking aggressive, bro. You open it up and it's right in your face, like putting a video on your face, whether you like it or not.
Brain rot consumes.
I'm like, whoa.
It's trying.
And the first video I saw was like somebody fucking dancing. I was just like, is that what our society is now? Just going online and fucking dancing?
It's the younger generation, man.
The younger generation.
That's what it is.
Yeah, like whoa.
And we're now the millennials entering our middle age to upper age.
We're the old farts.
We're the old cranky men. Like, shut the fuck up, you little. Yeah, that's where we're at now. But because of that, though, my approach isn't going to be the dancing and the pointing and the copied tutorials and none of that. I've decided
how to change your layers.
How to change your layers. Name your layers. Like, no, just it's so annoying. But for me, I've learned that if you just reach out to actual businesses and just talk to them, and you're sincere with what you want in your approach, 9 times out of 10, they're either going to say, no, fuck off, we're good. Or B, yeah, we actually do need something, and then you go down the full, road of figuring that out to bring them in as a client. Even the no's in the future can be yeses, right? Like, I look at it as planting seeds. And some seeds, they flourish, some don't. Some take longer than others to flourish. But in time, you'll see the results, whether or not the seed was worth it. So I'll go to conventions, I'll go to expos, I'll reach out to people on social media, LinkedIn, and I just say, hey, you know, I'm a freelancer, I do this, here's my portfolio, let me know if that's something that interests you, yada, yada, yada. And then from there, it usually sparks a conversation, and obviously figure out, if you're a young artist, the problem I find with trends is that they are trends, meaning once the trend dies and you've built your whole model on a trend, you have to then find the next trend. And therefore, you're never really finding out what makes you, you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Kinda
what
just chasing
long
it.
term. Yeah. You might get a shit ton of followers and a lot of intrigue, and that's fine. That's great. That's good. But at the end of the day, long term, I've seen it happen so many times where a lot of them can build quickly, but then they really are just sticking to a trend, and they never really create a true, like, unique visual style that's their own.
Yeah.
And if you look at historically, what makes a good artist is the fact that they're always trying to sharpen their blade. Like, they're trying to be better at what it is they're doing. And that's the unseen part of social media. People don't see that. People don't see the endless, like, sketchbooks that are filled with shitty drawings, right? They don't see the actual, like, crazy amount of time you have to spend getting better at something. And it sucks too, because, like, if you're stuck to a trend, you really can't develop. You're always fighting to, like, be the next trendy thing. And I think personally that's hurtful as an artist. Like, how are you then going to develop your own talent and skill that's uniquely yours, your own style, where people know, like, that's that guy, right? How are you going to build that if all you're doing is copying the latest trend? Now, mind you, as a freelance designer, you also have to understand how trends work for your clients. And that's the other side of things, right? Meaning, what if they want something that is trendy? You kind of have to play within those bounds. So
Yeah,
it's
no,
a fine line between those two things. And I personally am of the mindset of, like, master your skill over time. And I've had plenty of people reach out to me and say, how do I do this? How do you do that? How do you do your line work? How do you do your coloring? And I tell them, I'm not going to tell you in a message. Just call me. Here's my cell phone. I'll tell you. I'll talk to you. And I've had a few people will talk on the phone, spend an hour on the phone, and they're like, wow, you actually, like, helped me.
That's
like,
awesome, dude.
well, yeah, because I remember when I first started out, I remember asking a few artists that I looked up to, like, the same questions, and some of them were actually kind of fucking rude. And they pretty much told me, like, figure it out, which, yeah, figure it out. You know, it's kind of true. But I also walked away like, damn, that kind of left a shitty taste in my mouth of, like, interacting with someone I looked up to. I would never want to do that.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm asking.
I'm trying to figure it out. I don't want to, like, you to give me your secrets. I just kind of want, like, a little, like, we all need a little direction.
Little push.
Yeah. Even now, as good as I may think I am, I know that there's a lot I can improve. And I think that's the mindset you have to have. It never is good enough, and you can always be better.
That makes me think
that's
of
what makes you. Sorry, go ahead, Sly.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know, you were talking about, you know, all of the sketchbooks that people go through, and I went to this Kim Jung-gi thing that he did in LA, and, you know, he was selling his books, and it's just books of just all of his, like, drawings, just everything from all he does. And then also in his presentation, he's, like, walking you through how he does all of this stuff, like the perspective and how he does it. And, you know, when artists do that, it makes you like them even more. But when you know, they treat you shitty, like how you were talking, you see it in a different light, and, you know, you can still appreciate the art, but you know, sometimes it makes you, like, just, I don't want to look at that anymore. I know the person behind it, and
fuck that guy.
You know?
That guy's a fucking asshole. I'm not gonna support him. Fuck him. Yeah.
You know,
Get
it's
the
like,
fuck out of here.
Don't
I'm
be your
gonna
heroes, kids.
fucking unfollow this motherfucker. That's what happens. Yeah. No.
Yeah, that's happened to me too, where I'm like, oh, dude, this is awesome. How did you create this? And it's like, oh, I'm not sharing shit, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, you talented bastard. Fuck you. But then I've had artists where I'm like, dude, how'd you create this? Especially when I started my career, and they're like, oh, here's the Illustrator file. Here's the PSD file. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, I didn't ask for that, but thank you so much. And I, like, ripped that apart and examined it. I'm like, oh, that's how you did this. Gotcha. Can I recreate this? And that taught me a lot. You know, it's only a handful of artists that have done that for me. But I mean, I learned so much when I looked at those files. I'm like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Name your files. This is what these effects do. This is how they do this. I see. Like little things that just kind of blow your mind, and you're like, holy shit, this is amazing.
So I
I want to go back real quick. You talked about you wanted to do like game art and video games. Are you talking like Sega Genesis, Nintendo, Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, 2, Xbox? Like what game or console did you play that you were like, this is what the fuck I want to do?
Metal Gear Solid
was so dope.
Okay, when I saw the box art and I bought the strategy guide and the art book when the games came out, like PS2, when I saw that crazy inking style of watercolor and like everything was so loose and like nothing was perfectly lined, but it still was so coherent, dude, I was like, oh my god. Onimusha was a big one too. That was huge. I bought the strategy guide and art book, and when I started going, especially the strategy guides, surprisingly have a lot of art.
Yeah,
man. Like seeing the character designs, the armor, and you could see the brush strokes because it was digital, but it still had a very brushstrokey feel. And just, I don't know, when I saw that, like it really made me want to do character art. Like and then that's why I wanted to do video game character design, because I thought, what a unique way of like creating shit from nothing. Like you could create a character that could be loved by millions, you know? Like
are you
God
pulling that
of
up?
War.
I'll open it up right now.
I thought you were doing that.
I did. I want to.
Share, please.
Oh yeah, go for it. When, for example, like I found like the God of War concept art and the different variations they had to go through till finally they got like Kratos, I was like, dude, they didn't nail it on the first try. Like, yeah, that right there. When I saw that, I was, how old was I, man? I was, shit, when did that come out? Oh my god, I was a kid, dude. That was the first game I got on the PlayStation. Credit to my mom. I begged her for a PS2 and Metal Gear, and like she kind of tricked me. She's like, "Oh, we can't," and then one day it was right in my room. I was like, "Oh, yeah!" I was going crazy, dude. That was all I did for like the rest of the week. I was like, "Fuck school, fuck everything else, Metal Gear time."
Yeah,
and like that and Onimusha are definitely like pivotal art, I guess you could say, games that really just, and I mean, don't get me wrong, Dragon Ball for me is like sacred. Like, If I could pinpoint one moment in time that really made me fall in love with anything comics or art related, was my mom took me to a Barnes and Nobles. I walked around and found the comics aisle, and I found Dragon Ball Z, and I didn't know what the fuck this was. I was used to reading American comics as a kid. And I open it, and of course I open it American style. It's like, hey, idiot, go to the other side, you know? And you have to turn it and then open it. And it's like, it's this way. And I started going through it, and I remember vividly just kind of flipping through it and opened it when Nappa was like, he rips through like a plane just with his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And like, my brain literally melted. I had to like refresh right there. Like, I was just like, what? Everything was black and white. Everything, the ink was like, you could tell it was a little gritty, but like, oh my god, Akira Toriyama like literally changed my whole perspective on loving art. And ever since then, I was drawing DBZ. Not like, I remember kids would show up to school with binders of drawings, and we would compare our DBZ drawings. And they were like, now you look back, they were dog shit. But you know, as a kid, you're like, oh, dude,
but everybody's drawing it. Yeah.
Everybody was drawing, and kids would like find out, because in Japan it was way ahead. They would print out like the new Super Saiyan 3 that didn't come out yet. They didn't have eyebrow hair. What the fuck is happening, dude? Like, what?
The long hair.
We would get into crazy arguments over what's going to happen, comparing art. One kid was like, he was like the king of the hill. His art was the best. And he'd show up with his binder and like, check it out. And everyone's like, oh my god. Dude, we were going at it drawing DBZ. And that's when I got hooked really on just drawing. I drew incessantly. Every sketchbook was a DBZ drawing, and then obviously I like drew like all the comics, American, Marvel, DC. But DBZ was nonstop.
Do you still have those sketchbooks?
I do. They're in my garage.
Wow.
Actually, and
Nice.
when I moved,
awesome.
I found them, and I almost went on a little nostalgia trip. And then I went, damn, I sucked. Fuck, these are horrible.
But, I mean, the thing is that you can look back and say you
Yeah.
suck now because of how
Yeah.
like how much
Good
your
you
skill
are.
has improved. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
I
look
think
back
every
at my
5 years.
portfolio, and look at it
Yeah.
and be like, damn, this sucks. This is embarrassing.
Mhm.
So I
but
wanna-
it's no that
I want to segue into showing your artwork to our viewers.
Sure, yeah.
I'm going to share my screen right now. This is
Good.
why we call Roberto a master and illustrator because,
for those of you that are just listening, go ahead and watch it on YouTube. So you'll
Mhm.
see Robert's, and we'll also link a link to his profile.
Yeah, so
There you go.
this is Robert has a very specific style in Illustrator, and I've tried to mess with Illustrator like this, and it's really fucking hard, man. Like, look at this stuff, man. Ninja Turtles.
Dude, I have that Leonardo that you
Oh,
did
yeah?
the Ninja Turtles. You did it on shirts. I have the Leonardo one.
Nice.
for
Thank you, man.
for me, it was simultaneously at the same time was Transformers and Ninja Turtles. That just blew my mind of just animation, illustration. Just that was like, yes, that's what I do. So when I do my arm day, I wear my blue Leonardo shirt
Nice.
and to the gym, and I'm like, man, what's up? I'm a nerd. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, my son loves Dragon Ball so much, and I introduced him to Roberto's art, and he was in love with
Nice.
it. And I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
I
yeah.
bought a bunch of shit from you, bro.
Yeah, man.
And like,
I
to me, man,
appreciate
like,
that, man.
and this is odd for our Vegas community, actually to everybody, bro. If you guys could support your local artists, go for it. Buy from them.
Yes,
like with Robert,
please.
I was like, yo, charge me full price. I want to like pay you for your craft because your shit's fucking
Mhm.
dope. Like, and he's like, he has great options like Mandalorian.
You have that Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, I have one of these guys.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a,
Yeah,
I have a
I
few
remember that
pieces
one.
of his artwork.
Yeah, we have
and,
a
like,
couple too.
Yeah, that's cool because
likewise.
I don't know if you still do it, but you still go to the Level Up Expo, Robert.
I haven't done it I didn't do last
You
year.
did, and I didn't see you there. The year before you did.
Yes, I did. And what happened is I got busy with client work to the point where I felt it was wrong for me to go to Level Up unless I actually made something new, and I did. And
Gotcha.
the reason I decided not to go was I didn't want to show up and have the same stuff that I've had before, because every time I go, the people that remember me show up and they want the new stuff.
Yep.
Which,
Yeah.
credit to them, that's fair. But if I don't have it, I feel like I'm kind of cheap, like not
Doing a
doing my
disservice.
part.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
putting my end of the deal up. So I felt like, you know what, let me take some time off from the cons because I got to focus on the client work and
this
it's
one
getting
right
more
here.
and more busy. And it's one of those things where I had to make a decision that just was like, okay, client work it is. That's fine. I'll find more time down the road to actually make stuff that, because this is a passion project for me. This is
Mhm.
like me letting out that little kid that wants to draw. Like that's what's happening, but I'm doing it in Illustrator. That's literally all that's happening because I do these more as like a way to connect with people that also love Dragon Ball. Like when I do these conventions, people come out and we'll just talk about Dragon Ball. And like
Mhm.
an hour goes by and we're just
Damn.
nerding out. You get to meet the voice actors. I've been very lucky. Damn, I forgot his name. He always helps me hook up with him, but he runs the management of the voice actors, and he always helps me like actually say what's up to the voice actors. And like that's always a treat when you get to meet Vegeta and Goku in real life.
Yeah.
Just tell them like, hey man, like you kind of were a pivotal part of my childhood. I'm sure they hear this day in, day out. But here's
of
like
course.
the 6'6" giant bearded man, like, thank you. Like it's a way for me to connect with other fans that like otherwise I couldn't do it. So
So
for
I
me,
got a quick
that's what
question
that
for you.
is. Yeah.
Vegeta or Goku?
As an adult, I've learned to appreciate Vegeta over Goku. However, Goku is the quintessential embodiment of like naive heroism,
Mm-hmm.
whereas Vegeta is more of like a stoic adult take on heroism. And as a kid, I know this is kind of deep, but
It's
like
fucking
as an
deep.
adult, you realize when you rewatch the show again, and now you have the eyes of like
An adult.
Whether you're a parent or
Mhm.
whatever the case. I'm not a parent, but like, I have godkids, and you kind of have
You
a
have pets?
experience.
You got a cat, bro. You got a
Yeah,
cat.
I got a
You're
cat.
parent.
Just shut the fuck up. So like, but you
You're a
realize,
cat
like,
man.
yeah, I love my dog, but my cat's like, he's like, I call him Goku.
Okay.
You love
It's
your
kind of
cat.
funny. Ironically, I call him Goku. Yeah, he's dumb and he likes to eat and he's blonde. So perfect. But as an adult, I realized like, damn, Vegeta was like a real one. Now Vegeta never stopped being an asshole, and he did a lot of bad stuff even as an adult. But yeah, I'm still Team Goku, if you will, because he's gonna be Goku. He's the hero, and he's always doing what's right. But you kind of understand things a little bit better. Where like Vegeta makes more sense. Personally, though, Piccolo. I love Piccolo.
Oh, okay.
He's
Okay.
a stepdad. He
Interesting.
stepped in where Goku couldn't.
you're right.
Helped out
Yeah.
Gohan. And he's
That's my
stoic. He
brother-in-law's favorite.
meditates.
That's my
Yeah.
favorite
Piccolo.
like arc is when he takes on Goku's kid and he teaches him all that. I love that. That was my like I literally when I was a little kid, that's where I
His
started
name is
watching
Gohan.
Gohan, yeah.
Goku's son,
Goku's son. That's when
Goku's
that's
son.
when I started watching Dragon Ball, and to me, like that's my favorite arc. I want to showcase your shirts. I haven't really ventured into your shirts, and now looking at them, bro, I'm like, God damn, dude, these are fucking dope. Just look at that.
These are your client work, I'm assuming, Martin. Are these your shirts or are these your clients' work?
So Rascal, we do the mythological series. So that one on the top right there, the Greek design one, all the mythological design stuff, that's me. So they were my first client. We did a shit ton of stuff, and then at one point, Omar is like one of the smartest people you'll ever meet, and he doesn't seem it online, but he's an exceptionally smart human being. Very well read, very smart, and he's into history, philosophy, and mythology. And we kind of ventured into the mythology stuff, and we started with Hercules, Thor, like all these different designs, and those blew up. Those started sounding like crazy. So
they're sick.
Back then, I mean, yeah, most of like that one right there, Gilgamesh, that's me right there. All those other ones, like if it's not mythological, those are other artists that he works with. But Rascal's huge. They've exploded big time. But we still to this day do one or two a year of just the classic mythological series because people still want them.
Cool.
The one I do spend most of my time on now is actually DEF CON Propaganda.
Yeah, I see a lot of your work popping up on
like,
Instagram.
That blew up, and I've kind of shifted roles from not just being the artist, but a little bit of an art director too. Where
Nice.
I kind of
like the
had
photo
to
shoots?
not so much the photo shoots, but actually like coming up with ideas, launch ideas, figuring out like the year, what are we going to do for the year as far as designs of when, figuring out actual other artists that they work with too, like directing their work. That's kind of a toughie where you realize like, oh shit, like these guys don't organize their files right. So you start appreciating the little things as like, once you start looking at other people's work where you're like, oh my God, they didn't separate their layers, or colors are fucked up. They didn't name this, they didn't name that. There's no Pantones and we're dealing with a screen printer. Like, what the fuck? So then you start really appreciating certain things. And I remember at one point, I asked him like, yo, does your screen printer like need anything? He's like, no, your files are fine. Your files, they love. Everyone else's is the ones they're having problems with. So we had to figure out a template. I think they're called like tech packs to like actually set up when we turn them into the printers. Like this is the colors we're going to use, the layout, position, what t-shirt color we're using, what brand of shirt. Like all those little things that people don't realize go into manufacturing apparel is super huge. And like, that's the other side of things for sure.
Yeah.
So that's definitely been like half of every month is just with them, working with them, doing that, figuring out releases, what's the theme going to be. And credit to the owner of DEF CON, he's very much a fan of art, so he has a lot of good ideas. And then it's up to me to take those ideas and then make them into something. And oftentimes I'll get other artists that they work with, like they'll send me like, hey man, this guy's just not nailing this design. Is there any feedback that you want to, and I'll go through and critique the work and say, do this, do that, figure out this, or kind of like understand what's your theme, who's the demographic you're selling to, just art direction stuff, that before I never had to do, but as time goes on, you kind of pick up through experience, like having to then flip it. And then instead of being the hand that draws, is guiding the hand that draws. And that's a totally different skill set that I'm still figuring out, because I know how artists feel when they're told, like, hey, this isn't working. I'm kind of, I'm a soft but stern kind of approach. I know it's like Dan McElhatton, like his was always like, your shit sucks, fix it. But I can't do that to some artist I don't know, that's your approach.
He would get something from us and he would just write more graphic design.
Yeah. More graphic design.
Yeah.
Not enough. Needs more.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so I got a 2-part question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's one of your favorite characters to illustrate? We'll start with that one right now. If you could just sit down and get paid for one character to design over and over, different formats, different styles, different posters, who would you choose? Is
it like, in what context when you mean
it don't matter. It don't matter. Just in general. I know it's a broad question, but you own this character. You get to design him, in any way, shape, or form.
I love Dead, and I could draw skulls for days, even though I don't draw.
He also loves dick, so.
Sometimes I love dick here and there, man.
If you're an artist and you didn't draw dicks at some point, you're not an artist.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
We actually have a story about that, but we'll share that towards
the end.
You,
motherfucker. I think I have that sketchbook somewhere. I gotta look for it.
Ask my friends, and they'll tell you I have a lot of fucking dick drawings in high school that are out there in the world. So, good question. Okay, in like perfect world, if Dragon Ball reached out and said we're doing a line of like, I don't know, this big promotion of posters and packaging, but we want all you to draw every single DBZ character, I would like melt. That would be a dream project, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. But I think if we're talking concepts here, like you said, like you could draw skulls forever. Like I like almost like Japanese tattoo inspired stuff.
Okay.
But with my own, it's hard to explain, but I love taking Japanese tattoo style and then doing it my way. Okay. I could do that day in, day out, and it's always refreshing to do. A good example of that, actually, if you go...
I'm on your Instagram right now.
Okay, you'll see some of the latest stuff we did was Japanese inspired. I don't know why, dude, but Japanese tattoo art, there's something about it that's so unique.
So here's your Instagram, bro.
Yeah, there you go. So like that one we just did, like for example, the tiger and the dragon, that was just me fucking around. Me having fun, right? That Oni, the red one there, that was just me having fun. And the way I approach those is like, what if I just made it really vibrant and fun and like very my own style? Yeah. That's more, I could do that forever. Like if I could get
that's awesome.
Paid a brick ton of money just to do that, hell, But I don't know. I think that's probably where I would land up, to be honest.
So what's the second part of your question, Pete?
So the second part, as a freelancer, like what would be, one of the things that we strive here in our podcast is to be, informative and educational, obviously. But when it comes to like freelance projects and budget, what's the range? How do you set that price anchor? How do you set, hey, it's going to cost you this much, not to exceed the price, but like not to also make your skill set cheap. We all have bills to pay, especially as a freelancer, you got to think about taxes and everything else. So like, how do you come up with that price?
I would say that's a good question. So when I first started really trying to understand pricing, I bought this book. Let's see if I can pull it up. Oh man, I think it's called The Ethical Guidelines.
Yeah. Is it a big, tall book?
It's a thick fucking book. Oh, what is it called? I have it.
From the Graphic Artists Guild?
Yes.
The Artist Guild?
Yeah, the Graphic Artist Guild Handbook, Pricing and Ethical Guidelines. So that's actually a good base to understand, like, where do I start my pricing as a profession? Meaning you have to be very self-aware that, and it's kind of hard to say, like, when am I a professional? I would say when you're actually living off of this as a full-time job, you then have to treat this like that, right? So how did I figure it out? Obviously, you figure out, well, how much do I need to make a year, right? And then how long does each typical project take based off of how much I make a year? So you start doing the full calculations and you figure out your base hour, right? You're not charging hourly, but you figure out what's the minimum base that covers the time needed to create this, and then you pad on profit and tax, right? The range can depend obviously on the client you're dealing with. If, let's say, a mega corporation that's multi-billion-dollar is reaching out to you, you're not going to charge them the same if, like, your homie that needs help starting a business, right? Will you have a baseline that you never go below? Yes, absolutely.
You
However,
should, yes.
You should always have a baseline where, like, anything below that, I'm losing. Where that time could be spent trying to get bigger, better, whatever clients will pay for. The trick is understanding who the client is, because a lot of times you'd be surprised. Big corporations now, because I will say the market is so saturated, it's kind of a double-edged sword where they've now dealt with a lot of artists that are willing to do work for less, but then they've also learned that because of that, they're not getting the same level of work that they should be getting.
Yeah.
And I've had these conversations with like big corporations where they're like, dude, we went, and some of them are kind of being let down by bigger brands. They're like, we're seeking out independent artists because we've gone to the big box, agencies, and they're not cutting it. Like, everything is cookie cutter. Like, you could go to one agency in New York and one in LA, and they'll give you the same cookie cutter stuff.
Yeah, because they're all using the same fucking template.
They are.
Yeah.
And they're charging crazy money for it. And companies are realizing maybe we should reach out to independent artists that are willing. It's more of a risk for them, but in return, they're going to get more unique, tailored work. And that's something I always stress to, like, new people that reach out to me is, think of me as like a boutique tailor, right? You can go to Walmart and buy a cheap suit that will fit you and it'll work fine for whatever it is you're going to need a suit for. Or if you're going to a very nice special event and you need a very tailored suit that's fit to you, you come to me.
That's a great way to put it, bro. You're so right.
Because that's the truth. And there's nothing wrong with going to Walmart to get, if you just need, I've talked to people that are like, I just need something from AI. Go. That's fine.
Do it.
If that's what you need and it's only going to serve you for that purpose, that's fine by me. But if what you need is more specific to what I can provide, then we'll talk and we'll figure something out. But as far as, like, figuring out how to price, you definitely first need to figure out, if, like, I've told this to young artists, it's like, I remember, I don't know where, I was at some event talking and this kid asked me, like, well, should I go freelance? I said, first off, no. I told him if I could go back, I would have actually took some time at an agency to understand the corporate creative process of things that you're not going to get as a freelancer until, like, you're a little bit higher level where they bring you into it, right? And then 2, I told them, figure out what it is it's going to cost for you to survive on your own. Have 6 months of saving. You're going to need what's called runway, meaning if shit goes sideways, and it will, you need to have something to pad you during that time so things stabilize and you're back on your feet. Once you've got that figured out, then you can figure out your base price, right? And a project, dude, I've done projects for like fucking $250 when I started to now I've done some projects that were like $12. And thank God and that's not all the time. I'm not saying like every month I'm making that. No.
That's amazing, brother. That's amazing. Good for you. Fuck yeah. It's cheers to that, bro. For real.
My empty bottle of beer, yes.
Yeah.
and you know what's crazy? There's other artists that are making more than that. And that's what I'm trying to figure out is how to get there. But it's a journey, man. Like, and I'm not saying that every month I get those big projects that are amazing. I'm very fortunate that I have clients that are willing to work with me throughout 3 years now. Like DEFCON's been a long time client, and every month we're hammering out work, so it's consistent, which is great. But every now and then you get a big corp. I've done stuff, and you'd be surprised. Some big companies show up, and like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like I had, who was it? I think it was the Knights. Surprising, they had a bad streak on them, but the Knights reached out and they wanted to do some work, and they wanted to pay like $200. And I was like, wow.
It's because of the name. That's why. Like they even internally, they don't pay the best.
Oh no! I didn't know this at the time. When they reached out to me, I'm thinking, okay, this is a multi-billion-dollar sports company. Like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah, it's one of those. Oh, I get to where I could have the Knights in my portfolio, or I get to.
That's fucked up, and that sucks, and that's why, like, that needs to fucking change in our city at least. Like, yo, we love you guys. We love Vegas Golden Knights. The community shows you your love. You got to give our community some love back. And
Okay. When I become the creative director there, I'll make sure that I take care of that.
Yeah, let's do it, bro. Let's do it. Yes, take over that shit, bro.
Okay.
Look, I'm not like dissing them. I'm just saying, like, it was surprising because this was years ago. This isn't recent.
Yeah.
Where this was my and this was right after I did some work with Major League Baseball. And to be fair, they paid okay. They didn't pay like holy shit money, but at the time, I took it as something I learned in college was, I forgot his name. He was like a dweeby professor. His name will come to me when I'm like walking or something. When you least expect it, you'll remember. But he said
he's going to comment in the comments in a couple of weeks. He's
hey, that's what you're talking about. He said there's 3 criteria when he took on a client, and I took this to heart because it made sense to me. He goes, is the work portfolio grade? Is the pay good? And is the person you're dealing with worth your time? Meaning they're not an asshole and you can actually, like, like they're a good person to work with. If you can get 2 out of the 3, then it's a project you can take on. If you get 3 out of the 3, run with it. Hell yeah.
Repeat those one more time, please.
Is the work Is the work portfolio grade? Is the pay worth your time? Is it good? And is the person you're dealing with worth your time? So let's say Nike hits you up and they want to pay you $40K for a project, but the guy's a bit of an asshole. I might take that project for sure.
I'd take that for $40K, no problem.
Yeah, no, without thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
Let's say the guy's great, the pay is meh, but the work is really portfolio grade, meaning this is something you could use to leverage for more work, and like it's a great piece. Why not? So, but if you can get all 3, those are like unicorn clients. You want to keep those around forever. But if you can get 2 out of the 3, you're kind of okay. And you have to learn through time which of those 3 are more important to you. For me personally, it's always kind of, for the most part, like there's a lot of projects that you'll never see in my portfolio. But the person was very nice, very like good to deal with, and they actually paid pretty good. I'll take that any day. Right? You don't have to do every project that's like a fucking amazing knockout portfolio grade piece. Sometimes the projects aren't, whiz bang amazing cool stuff. Sometimes it's boring, lame shit that
there's a huge spectrum of design.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's so much in design that I feel like it's endless. There is no beginning or end. But when it comes to clients,
before I had kids, I used to call that my beer fund. I'm like, yeah, I could do it for that amount. Sure, why not? What do you want? You got it. Okay, here you go. I know it's only going to take me, X amount of hours. Okay, why not? That's my beer fund right there. That's my get my new TV kind of fun. So I totally understand that.
I've done projects for free for some people because, they're friends or family or whatever. And like, whatever, I hook them up. And like big corporations, I've done some pretty big stuff that I'm very proud of. But it's not like, I think reality is always different than what social media puts out. Like, you'd be
100%.
surprised at some of your favorite artists. Some of them are like struggling, some of them are not. It can vary, dude. Art, especially nowadays, like it's a buyer's market, I feel. Meaning they have so much access to talent now because anyone can just jump online and call themselves a designer, artist, as long as they have the tools and equipment. That doesn't mean their work is good or up to snuff to what is needed, but they can do that. And to be fair, that's how I started. So I'm not hating on them for doing that. It's just that now I see a lot of times corporations will take the cheap route. I've seen it happen. And I've seen some corporations that I've reached out to. I'll be like, hey, yada, 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 I do this or that. Cool. They talk to me, and then we talk price, and they don't like the price, so they go somewhere cheaper. And the work isn't that great. And then long term, they're coming back saying, yeah, we ended up not liking their work, so we'll talk to you. And I'm like, it is what it is. It happens.
Could save some money.
Yeah.
And
then the project costs 2-3 times the amount that they could have, just done it for a good amount the first time.
Yeah.
So that's always understandable. I mean, it sucks when they do that, but you're like, okay. I mean, you could go to certain websites and get it for super cheap, but then you're going to see the same artwork, for 7-10 different other companies that are using the same branding and colors and logos.
You want to eat McDonald's, and some days you want to go to a steakhouse and have the best wine, and that's, like I said, everyone can get what they want. Everything exists nowadays where the options are available to you. But if you're a young artist, you need to understand what is your value and what is that value to like your potential clients, right? And I think a lot of times now, everyone's so caught up in figuring out like right now, the trend that I see is everyone's doing tutorials where I look at their work and I'm like, but you don't have like an actual body of work. Like your whole business model is teaching other designers stuff that you learned from somebody else on Instagram. Yeah. But where is your actual work? Like, I don't see.
Yeah, they're just social people, social designers.
That's the new business model for social media. But when you start talking to like creative directors and marketing directors who are out there, they're starting to turn their backs a little bit on like the big followers just because they've had bad experiences. And I think it's happening more and more, which is something I'm catching on to because I remember this happened like years ago. I was watching on YouTube. I used to watch Chris Do. I don't know if you guys watched him a lot. But when he blew up, I was watching him a lot, and he was showing an example of this photographer who has worked with like every big brand you could think of, celebrities, you name it. She's worked with like those people, right? And she got hit up by Canon to do like a photo shoot for this big campaign they're doing. And she was going to do a bunch of assets for the campaign. They brought her on. They were ready to sign on and everything. And they were going to pay her like $50K for the project. Super big deal. And then they dropped her because the new art director that came in wanted someone that had more followers. Right?
Oh my God.
Which is like everyone unanimously went like, what the fuck? Like it made no sense. But in the art director's mind, what they wanted was to leverage that person's social media presence for the campaign. What ends up happening is the actual photo shoots weren't good. The project was kind of like not what they expected. And then I hate to tell you this, I'm a big believer in the dead internet theory. I don't know if you guys know what that is. But my experience...
Can you explain
Please explain.
Yeah, absolutely. So the dead internet theory is where more and more of the actual usage of the internet is bots and AI. Meaning the interactions we're seeing aren't people to people anymore, it's bot to bot. And I got the bad end of that experience with what happened with me, but then I'm starting to notice how like if you go on any social media, it's just flooded with bots commenting on things. And the occasional like we're still in it, but there's going to come a turning point where 51% of the usage is now bots and AI, and it's not us. And like, I didn't used to believe this theory until like the more I researched it, and then you start seeing it in front of you where you're like, holy shit, this is a lot of bots. Like, and I'll get followed by a bot. I immediately remove them. I don't want bots following me because I know it signals other bots to follow me.
How do you know it's a bot though?
Oh, like it'll say like Chris128457, and then you go on their page, and it's like one picture, and it's like, all right, fuck off.
They're freshly created,
yeah. Fuck out of here.
Or it's this hot chick. No hot chicks are gonna follow you.
He's not lying.
Okay, never mind.
I don't know what it is. Like 20 hot models just started following.
Holy shit!
I don't know. It just happened, babe. I don't know what happened.
Fucking,
they're really into pixels. They're really into pixels.
They like my work.
Sorry.
They love my work.
Babe, what can I say? What can I
Follow
say?
me,
all right?
it me, guys.
Follow my Telegram. It's like, fuck off. Fuck out of here. Yeah, man. Dude, social media is getting weird by the day. And like another thing I'm realizing too is it's getting flooded with AI art, which I have.
Oh, bro.
I know a lot of people hate it. And I've come to understand its use for certain things as a tool. But I don't feel that everyone's worried, and they should be, if it gets to the point where it can create deliverables as good as we can. And right now, it cannot. It's nowhere close to being good at deliverables, and I will tell you why. I went to, and I have a love-hate relationship with Adobe.
Yeah.
That's like more hate than love at this point.
Yeah.
But
Adobe's fucking up, bro.
Terrible.
They're fucking up.
I went to their AI event thing that they had here in Vegas. I don't know if you guys went to that.
Didn't I?
I went. Were you? Did I?
I ran it.
Did I see
there? I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
But I left early because
Side
I
note,
had
side note.
con.
Yes.
Yeah.
Side note, Adobe, I love you. Because if you went away right now, I wouldn't know what else to do. So
Love hate. That's why we said love hate. Love hate. Love hate.
It's a toxic relationship. That's what we have.
Please don't ban me, Adobe.
And she's charging us a lot.
No, like Pete literally told me what they did with the cloud shit, and I'm like, bro, that's fucked up. At this point, Adobe should just make AI generation free for people that have subscriptions because you used everybody's fucking like skills. Right?
Yes.
It should just be fucking free. Don't charge it. That's fair. But don't charge it. It's our shit. Okay. It was uploaded by us. You used our brains to create your fucking AI. Make it free.
Which sucks. Their AI it's shit right now. Shit. And I mean that with the most sincere. Want you to do better, Adobe, because
it only works in their advertising.
Yeah, in their advertising.
That's the only time surprisingly, their advertising is perfect. So I watched them do this full presentation of how the AI can make this and that. And I'm a very cynical man at this point in my life where I was watching that and I literally turned my head and I was like, I bet you that's all pre-made bullshit. And he started laughing. He's like, you're probably right. So when I went home and we were at the event and I'm watching people clap at AI doing this and that. Wow, and I almost felt like you're clapping for your own demise a little bit, like, because you don't realize they're going to use you. You're the pool.
They already used us. They're not going to use us. They already used us.
I said that to my friend, like, well, they have to. AI isn't AI. AI is not like a sentient being going, I will create something for you, human. That's not how AI works. AI is a content aggregation algorithm. That's it. It's nothing more than that. All it does is you say, give me a blue circle. It goes to the internet and goes, that's a blue circle. Here's a blue circle. That's it. That's all it's doing, engine. But it's doing it. That's it. And all it's doing is compounding the ability to literally take the internet, compress it into your prompts, and give you an image. That's all it's doing, right? But
it's also human beings, like putting every single thing like per word of what they're doing, like programming it. So it's still a human element in it, but I remember reading a big forum on Reddit where they're like, hey, I just did this thing with ChatGPT and it was like a 6-month program where everything I did, I had to tell it like as descriptive as possible.
Yeah, it doesn't understand context.
From the human. Exactly.
There is no, you are the context.
Yeah,
so,
but
exactly.
Today I used ChatGPT and it kind of blew me away because I prompted what I wanted and it gave me like good stuff. And I replied in Spanish and English. I said like, thank you, gracias, you're awesome. And the ChatGPT responded to me in Spanish and English. And I was like, holy fuck. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
That's another level.
Maybe some broken English? Or
that's the thing. AI is improving. The algorithms are learning from us and improving exponentially. I'm not saying that it's not going to get better. It is going to get better. But what I came away thinking from that event from Adobe was two things. One, their AI is not what they're selling us, so they're going to use us as the content tool to make it better. And then the second thing I realized too is that they're shifting from a professional end user based model to a consumer based model, and people aren't seeing that. Right. And I told my friend, like, I think in the next maybe 5 years or so, Adobe's going to start trying to push for the common user.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
And we, the professionals who spent the years refining our skills to make our bones, if you will, using their programs, will be a part of their business model, but not the business model. Because I think there's more money long term from them turning out. Imagine you have access to every creative professional on earth, and you can use that to teach your AI to make creative content.
That's what Adobe has.
Why wouldn't they turn and use that to then say, well, we don't need you guys. Once we've already taken everything you guys have made, all your skills and everything, we figured out how to put an algorithm behind it. We can have consumers pay us a monthly subscription, and they can go, make me a logo that's this, pop, boop, boop, enter. Right now, it can't do that. It's very bad. The generative tools in Adobe, like every time I've used them just to like fuck around with them,
They're terrible.
They're like nightmare fuel. Like it's bad. Like it's almost like it went to hell and brought something back. Like it's scary sometimes the shit that comes up.
No, but
however, with AI though, I've like for my process, let's say a client says, I want a cool World War II soldier, but he's a skeleton, and like we kind of want to do a release, and it has to be kind of cool and dramatic. I'll spend hours looking up images, photography, watching documentaries, maybe like really trying to soak in the content that I then have to distill and then create, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes what I like to do is go to AI and tell them what I need to see what comes out. 9 times out of 10, it is bad. It is not good. It's nowhere near what I was expecting. However, sometimes when you look at the whole profile of it, you might go, I kind of like the color of this one, and I kind of like the position that the AI came up with here, and I kind of like, I don't know, the position of the dog or whatever it is I'm drawing on this one, and maybe the typography here, that's kind of well inspired. Let me then bounce off of that.
It's like a good reference point.
It's a good like first step. From there, I take off and do my thing that I've learned over the years, and I go crazy and figure things out. And context is key, right? But right now, AI just is not. It's all prompt based. And I actually had a good talk with a creative director friend of mine who, like, their company was pushing AI hard. Like, he's like, every day we're using every AI tool. They're paying all up front for it. They want us to use AI. And he went deep into it, and he said, the number one thing is your prompts are your lifeline. Whatever you prompt is what you get. So you have to be hyper-specific and contextual. But it didn't matter how hard they tried. It never gave enough of a good deliverable. Meaning, I can't tell an AI to make me a vector illustration with certain parameters of what I do, and I get 99.99%, it won't make that thing that I need. It won't.
Yeah.
When the day comes that happens, I don't know. I'm selling drugs. I don't know, man. Like, we're figuring it out. But right now, I've realized like AI is not the threat we thought it would be. It's a good tool. The problem is in using that tool, you're feeding the very thing that long term may
end your career,
potentially put your career at risk.
But one thing,
to what degree, I don't know.
The one thing I notice is that when I go to the gym, I see the ads for Adobe, and Adobe's already selling this like that to the general
consumers,
public.
You go to the gym?
Yeah, in the mornings. Shut the fuck up, bitch.
At the gym. I see at the gym.
Well, that's when I watch regular TV, and that's how they're selling it already to the general public. It's like telling somebody who doesn't do our craft, come in here, design all the stuff you need to. If you have a business,
You could just
so it's
fill
like
it in.
it's the Wix model, right? Go on Wix. AI will create your website, blah 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 blah, and that's what's scary. And honestly, that is a big betrayal from Adobe to all of us, because
massive.
Yeah.
It's massive.
It's fucked up. It is fucked up. And that they like. It's I don't know. I just it's fucked up.
By making it a subscription, I feel like maybe they were planning something a long time ago, because they took that ability of like keeping it for ourselves, like the programs, because they can now just turn it off. They could just be like, oh, well, we're just going to switch over to this thing, and you know, you paid for it, but you never really owned it. And when they turn it off, your license is just done. So
Which-
you're no longer able to use it.
That's the model now in general. I actually have Affinity. I just, I'm so like Stockholm syndrome with Adobe that it's hard to break away from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I've tried, believe me, I've tried, but I don't want to spend the time learning a new set of processes in a program where the time I could spend just working is more valuable to me than learning.
Yeah.
Should I? Probably, because Adobe, I'll be honest, I feel like they haven't really earned our dollar anymore. Like they almost just expect, like, yeah, whatever, you need us. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
Somewhere else, figure it out. So I'm very much, like I said, love-hate with Adobe. Like, I wouldn't have my career if it wasn't for them, if I'm being honest. Like, let's be real. They're the industry standard. But I definitely feel they've forgotten who their consumer base is because they're shifting away from us. That's my view. That's my perspective.
Fucking greed. Greed.
Yeah, 1,000%.
That's all it is.
I at one point, so this is kind of funny. Whenever it would crash, which is still very frequent, I would write very mean crash reports. Like,
I remember that.
yes, I'd post them and people would laugh and like, oh my god. But
Yep.
I'd send them like, you guys are fucking idiots. How does this like? I'd go off on my crash reports because I genuinely thought no one listened to me. Because for years I'd send these and no one listened.
Yeah.
And one day I get an email from Adobe, and they say, "Hey, we got your latest crash report. We'd love to talk to you." And this and that. I'm like, no way. So I get on. They call me, and credit to this girl. She was very sweet, very nice. And she's telling me, like, yeah, we found your crash reports kind of unique. I was like, yeah, I kind of get a little
heated,
emotional with you guys. But I told her, like, it's because I actually give a shit. Like, I use this every single day for countless. My life is behind a computer making shit day in, day out. Like, we're kind of sacrificing our health in many ways doing this.
Yeah, true.
So for me, I took it personal. Every time it fucking crashes, it's like a big fuck you to me. So...
especially when it tells you
phone.
We couldn't find anything to fix the issue every single time.
I just decided
we
to
searched.
die.
Yeah, we searched, but we couldn't find any issue. Like,
I get on the phone with this girl, and she's telling me, like, we actually like saw your stuff, and we want you to be part of like our alpha and beta testing for Adobe Illustrator Mobile. Like, would you be open? I'm like, fuck yes, I would, because I'm going to be critical. So I helped them, like, actually give them feedback. They sent me the alpha of Adobe Illustrator Mobile. And the first thing I said when I did my feedback call, I said, how the fuck do you guys not have view rotation? Procreate has view rotation. Affinity Designer has view rotation. Fucking any drawing app, Manga Studio, Clip Studio has view rotation. Illustrator, the name is illustration. You don't have view rotation. Simply being able to rotate what it is you're working on, because before, like, if you had to go get a certain angle, you had to fuck up your arm because you couldn't rotate what you're working on. I was like, if you just rotate it, I can keep my arm in the same position and do what I'm doing.
Which is what you would do traditionally.
With anything. Even with a piece of paper, you fucking rotate it. It's so, like, intuitive. And they didn't have that in Illustrator or in the mobile platform. And I said, how is that not a thing? Like, we just never thought, like, yeah, no shit, that's the problem. You guys aren't, like, talking to people that use it. Like, you guys have ads with Lady Gaga. What the fuck is Lady Gaga doing in Photoshop?
What the fuck?
She does not use Photoshop. I can guarantee you, if I met Lady Gaga, so, like, do you like the clone stamp tool? Or, like,
why don't you have
she's not gonna know what the fuck
Chris
I'm talking about.
on that shit?
She's like, yeah, I like Star Wars.
I like Star Wars. The Clone Wars? Yeah, those are great. Yeah. Do you like the selection tool? Which selection tool? I don't. Yeah, it's that's what got under my gears.
Layer selection.
I use the tool. Dude, it got under my skin. I'm like, you guys are marketing to the wrong people that don't know what the fuck this is. Like, you're trying to sell Photoshop to someone that's never going to use Photoshop. And I think what scared them, to be fair, and rightfully so, was Canva. I don't like Canva. I think all designers hate Canva. But I have friends who own businesses who use Canva because they don't want to deal with designers, and I get it.
Yeah, and it's easy for them to just go in and use it.
I need a flyer.
Yeah.
Flyer, done. Like, the basic stuff, I can see that being useful for a business owner, but like I said, if you're like coming up as an artist or designer, you need to really sharpen your tool and like be so good at that one thing that it's no AI or Canva can replace that. Will that be the case? I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Because like in 5 years, AI has changed astronomically.
Yeah.
Who knows? Another 5 years where it could be.
I really thought I
could be
was
just a year.
I thought I wasn't gonna be alive to see AI, bro. Honestly, I was like, oh yeah, it's fucking way out there. And I was,
No, you're like 50 or 60.
I was
too,
like,
right?
I was like, bro, yeah, I might take jobs, but design, that's fucking hard. We're living there right now, bro. Like,
it's
fucking
weird they
crazy.
went after creative. It's weird, like all these guys that make AI, if their first thought is like, let's fuck over the artists and designers.
yeah, right.
Let's go for
Like,
them
fuck.
first. Like,
Yeah.
oh shit, why couldn't you figure out like construction or I don't know. I'm not saying construction is important. I'm just
The
saying
hard shit.
why us
The
first?
people that are out in the
Yeah.
fucking heat, like,
I want to see a robot build 3D print a house. How cool that would fuck like how much
They do
fucking-
that already.
Yeah.
I don't see it every day though.
No,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
I don't see ads about it, all right? Shit.
I don't see that about it. Yeah.
You touched on a lot of good points. I mean, I myself, I use AI Midjourney to help me build those concepts. You
Yeah.
know, like that's it takes the pot of just like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Does my concept have legs? And like you said, though, that's using the same tool that's going to be our downfall eventually.
Yeah.
You know, I had a client / friend who was like, bro, you're going to lose your job. You know, the AI is taking over. They do this, they do that, all this other shit. And then, you know, 2 weeks later, he hired me for a job. And I'm like, what happened to your AI shit? And he's like, whatever. Like, it's not doing what I think it's doing. Yeah, I was like, hey, I thought I was going to be out of a job. You know, I should be fucking scared and doing the other shit.
Yeah. That's
but
fair.
Then you turn
I
around
do
and use the AI.
You turned in AI.
pretty much.
yeah. But you know, yes, I agree. No, it doesn't push out the concepts or the actual clean artwork that we
No.
do. And eventually it will be. I think that's going to happen. But even then, you know, us that have skill set who are already OGs in the game, like we don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You know, I see your skill set that's grown so much in the last 5 years, brother, that you're like, holy shit, like nothing can really touch you. You know, if you continue to work on that craft, continue to work on that skill and not rely on AI, you're gonna be someone in this world.
Yeah.
I've done the portfolio reviews at CSN, and there was one portfolio that the student used AI for every single project and just slapped some text on it. That's all it was. Granted, she credited it. She's like, hey, you know, this was generated by AI. But I'm like, hey, if I'm the hiring man, I'm an art director at I'm plugging right now, Vegas Prime Magazine. But you know, if I'm hiring for a junior or senior designer and they submit this artwork to me and I'm like, oh, this looks cool, and it says, you know, generated by AI, and all you did was slap some text on it, I'm not going to hire you. Like, that's not what I'm looking for in a portfolio review.
Yeah.
You know, like that's learn your skill set and learn your type, especially as a graphic designer, learn your typography,
Hierarchy.
learn, you know, your layouts, hierarchy, all that stuff. You know, you have a different skill set, Roberto. You know, your illustration skill, you have that niche, you have that skill set. But as a graphic designer, you know, you got to be a well-rounded artist for that.
Yeah.
And you know, just doing AI and like, oh, I used AI Midjourney to do this and D12 to do this and all this other shit.
I think that, like,
I'm not gonna hire
I think
you.
we're gonna have a future where we have, because you know, we already have this. We have traditional art, people that get on paper and do whatever they do, and then we have designers that is digital artists, right? Which is what Robert is, digital artist, right?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have
/ traditional.
Yeah, and traditional. And then we're gonna have prompt artists, you know, artists that go and do AI and they do prompts. But I'm not talking about your shit right now that goes in there for 5 minutes and prompts. No, I'm talking about like a legit person who probably spends like 4 hours prompting every little specific thing to make their art look fucking dope. Because I haven't really jumped into it. I have played with it, but I haven't like sat there for hours trying to create something perfect. And I think that maybe there might be artists out there right now that are doing that spend like 4 or 8 hours prompting, and their final piece is amazing, right? And I think that we could say that there could be prompt artists, and I think that they have a place.
Yeah.
There is going to be a place for them.
I mean, a couple of them have already won, competitions.
Yeah.
Based on, I know there's been a couple photography ones where they did some prompts on that, and AI generated image won, and then they got disqualified because they found out afterwards. So there's definitely that.
It's not. I think that if we, as the sharpened creatives that we are, apply our ability to have taste, which is another important part that I think a lot of people misunderstand, especially like in apparel. You have to kind of, in a weird way, be a tastemaker in the sense that you have to make something that people are willing to wear. And depending on the niche they're in, right, whether it's like with DEF CON, which is like dog training and like working dog stuff, or if it's like, ASUS making a t-shirt, like you have to understand the demographic, and then you also have to be like somewhat of a tastemaker to understand what is it that people want to wear, right?
Mm-hmm.
AI doesn't know that. That's where we step in with our skills and then apply that. And in many ways, like I can guarantee you there were many people that said, oh, computers are going to, painters and artists are never going to be a thing. Computers are going to take over that. And to a degree, it did, but it didn't. There's still plenty of painters and artists making amazing livings because their skill is so undeniable that it has to be appreciated. Whereas the inverse of that is like now we're facing that where like AI is going to take over. I think the reality is going to be it's going to at some point take over a lot of the things that we may or may not like doing, like the mundane. But I still think people that are very highly skilled and reputable will have a voice in the future no matter what, because AI can't replicate that. It needs to pull from us to then sharpen. And that's where I think AI doesn't scare me as much as it may have before. I'm starting to use it more as a tool to make certain processes easier, meaning I'm not saying like I'll never, like, this is funny. I had a creative director friend of mine say like he had to tell all of his designers like to stop using AI because the problem isn't that the use of it, it's that what they were turning in wasn't good. And that is, I think, the issue is that people are very apathetic. Like they don't want to spend 5 hours trying to make something, even if it's hybrid of AI and their own tool set to make something good. They just want to go beep boop bop boop, enter, and then the thing shows up and the guy's like, what the fuck is this? Like this isn't good enough to put to print, to put on a magazine, whatever the end product is, it's not good enough.
Right.
And I think we need to understand that AI isn't going away. No. I think it's here to stay. It's only going to get better and it's only going to improve. What I don't see, though, is them figuring out making proper deliverables, meaning, and maybe it does exist where it could plop out a fully vectorized, ready for screen print design, ready for production, and it looks good. It's got all the contextual cues you were looking for. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. And I think, if anything, what we do, especially as freelancers, only makes us more valuable. Meaning,
so do you suggest
100%.
like, in your opinion, do you think designers that are up and coming need to be learning this?
Yeah.
Need to have some kind of, experience and prompting and.
Yeah, I think you'd be foolish not to. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say you were a horse and buggy guy, right? Like your job was to ride a carriage with a horse, and then Henry Ford shows up and makes the fucking car. Like, you'd be a fool to not understand that, yes, your position in life is going to drastically change, and if you don't adapt, you're just going to be swept through the tides of history. That's how life works, man. And now we're confronting that in the digital age where AI is the next industrial change, because it's in everything, dude. Like, I have business owner friends that are using it for their emails, their marketing, their this, their that, their socials. Like, they're implementing
it. I use ChatGPT all the time.
That's something we use a lot.
It lessens the burden of what it is you're doing. And I think that's something that, like, let's say I want to draw. I had to learn to make proposals and contracts the hard way, meaning losing money, having to figure out like, oh shit, I got fucked on this. This is something I should put in the contract. Now I could go to ChatGPT and say, hey, give me a basic boilerplate draft of an illustration contract. And I'd say like 70% of what's in there is usable. Like it's
I just want to interject there. I think that
Yeah.
Graphic Artists Guild book that you're talking about actually has contracts in the back. Like
It does.
dummy contracts.
It does.
Yeah.
It has
If
contracts
people
in there
are,
for you.
yeah.
It has
there's
everything. Like
yeah.
when I got that book, I realized like, oh shit, like I could just read this book and I learned about licensing, image rights, how to format a contract, what the standard average, because every edition is like every year
For that
comes
year.
out,
Mhm.
they basically have a revised model of pricing, and you have an understanding of, okay, like for this specific type of work, let's say if it's fashion, textile, or branding, whatever, you can actually figure out. That's it right there.
Yep.
Like it is a boring book to read. It is definitely
Very technical.
bean counters made this book, which is what you want. It's not a fun book to read. It's not pretty. It's all text, but you kind of need that. You need to go through some of this boring shit.
It's
That's
like an
gonna help you in the
almanac,
long run.
basically,
Yeah.
for design.
Yeah,
like
1000%.
anything you want,
And
you can find in
I
it.
suggest that should be your base floor. That should be your base model for
Mhm.
just figuring out the basics. From there, you add on based on your experience and what you've learned and what you've dealt with. You can kind of customize things. I've definitely given out my my contract to different people. Like, hey, just here, look at it, and they're like, oh, I didn't know I could add that. I could do this, or I could change this, or I could change that.
Yeah.
Go for it. Like, I learned it from fucking going online and getting a contract, and then over the years adjusting it my own way, and then
When I first
obviously the
started
smart thing to
freelance,
do.
I didn't have any contracts. I was just like doing word of mouth, like, hey, so we're good on this. Like, you're gonna pay me this and that, and then only after, when I had my first or second freelance, I realized I was
Mhm.
getting very underpaid for the work that I was doing.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
had asked somebody about it, and they were like, did you have a contract for this? And I was like, oh, no, I was just, talking with this person, and, I was doing this,
Yeah.
and we agreed upon this price, but, all the
Mhm.
work I'm doing, maybe I should be paid
Yeah.
this price. And I reached out to the client, and I was like, hey, I'm still in school. I'm still learning this. We didn't do a contract. The amount of work that I'm doing for what I quoted you is like, basically, I'm giving this to you for free. And I had to eat that. I had to be like, you know what?
Yeah.
They're like, oh well.
Yeah, basically they were like, you agreed to this, and I was like, okay, yeah,
Yep.
I understand. But for sure I had learned from that, and I was like, oh man, now I need to get a
Oh,
contract. And trying to find those without that book was difficult for me. And then thankfully I found that book, and I was able to get some of those contracts in there.
Yeah.
Speaking on contracts, I want to ask you, we talked about financials. Who do you use for your invoicing? Do you do your own invoicing? Like, I was using PayPal when I was doing a lot of freelance. That was where I was doing my invoices.
Yeah. I use right now FreshBooks. I've been using them for a long time because
Is that like a paid subscription?
yeah, it's a paid subscription, and they take 2% of every digital card transaction. But now they have bank transfer options and whatnot. And
Okay.
what I like about FreshBooks, mind you, I'm pretty sure there's other. I've heard of Honey, I think it's called. Excuse me.
The browser
Other
extension?
actual. No, I think it's. I know what you were talking about, though.
Yeah, man, I know, honey.
I know, honey.
I know, honey.
They find you deals.
Yeah.
Sponsored. We are not sponsored by Honey.
Nope.
You should be though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, honey,
Hey, honey.
fix it.
Hey,
Fix it.
honey, give us some honey,
Let's see.
honey.
I think it's is it honey? Let me see. Oh, maybe not. Oh, I forgot the name. But I like FreshBooks because I invoice. I can attach PDFs for like W-9. Some corporations, they want your W-9. So they have all their tax records straight for their accounting department. It's like the bigger the corporation, the more heads involved. It's super fucking annoying, but that's all.
More paperwork.
Yep.
More paperwork, more people.
More
It's
eyes.
How many
crazy.
CEOs does this company
More
have?
eyes.
Literally.
More changes. Changes galore.
Literally. And what's nice about FreshBooks is then I can put in my clients, invoices, profit loss, all my accounting. You go in, you upload your receipts, your expenses, bing, bang, boom, print, you take it to your CPA. And our CPA loves it because she goes like, I don't have to work. I just input boop, 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 all the numbers. We're done. Have a good day.
For those who don't know, CPA means
Certified personal accountant.
boom.
Oh,
Certified personal assistant.
Boom.
Yeah, dude, it's one of those things. Like again, the boring side of design that no one sees, but those are things you have to do as a freelancer.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Which
like,
is, did they teach you in school at all about any of the financing?
a little bit. Jonathan Barini actually,
Okay.
his class was actually like pretty. By then, I was already freelancing, so I already knew most of what he was talking about. But it was a good refresher, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually like important to know. You know, like, this is key." Nowadays, I think the gig economy is growing day by day. There's more freelancers than ever. I don't see that stopping, just because technology is like imagine trying to be a freelancer in 50s and 60s. You'd have to have a studio, a drawing table, somewhere to cabinet all your artwork.
You have to know how to illustrate. Number
I'd
one.
actually like legit actually have to illustrate. It wasn't like just computer. Like you actually had to put ink to paper. You had to be really good.
Well, ink to glass also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
it's fascinating. Like me, where I'm coming from, like I actually value a lot of the old school guys, just because I feel
Same.
like nothing's new. Everything's been done before. We're all standing on the shoulders of titans. That's why like whenever I see anything online, I'm like, even my own stuff, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's not something amazingly new. It's based off of other shit for sure.
Yeah.
Like if I was to distill my art style, it would be like a bit of like obviously Akira and Mike Mignola. Like those are my two biggest comic influences. But design was Draplin, John Contino, and Hydro 74.
Hydro 74, man, that guy is just stupid talented.
Amazing.
Stupid talented.
He's a vector god. Yeah,
he's using like Illustrator, like something he purchased so long ago.
To be honest, I don't need 90% of the shit in Illustrator. All I need is the pencil tool, pen tool, a few of the hotkeys, and that's it. I don't need 90% of the shit that's on there, to be honest.
Isn't he like super against AI?
Oh,
right?
Oh,
yeah. Oh, he
fucking hates it,
He
right?
hates
Adobe
Adobe with a
AI.
passion.
He's
And the
very
funny
vocal
thing
about
is-
his Adobe hate.
Yeah. He hates Adobe, and he uses Adobe to make artwork that he hates Adobe.
It's a catch-22 for us, because there is Affinity is good. Don't get me wrong. Affinity, I think, is the only software that can put up a fight to Adobe, but they don't have like the monopoly that Adobe has. And you have to. It's a different learning curve, because they obviously Adobe has figured out how to like copyright a lot of their processes.
Yeah.
So you can't necessarily do the same shit, as you'd have to do it in a different way to get the same result. But that means you have to learn something new to figure out the same the same outcome. So
I haven't used Affinity too much. It's a competitor to Illustrator or Adobe in general?
To all three.
Adobe,
They have like
they
three.
have the big three: Illustrator, Photoshop,
and InDesign. Okay.
Yeah.
Which are literally the big three that I use. I don't use anything else at all.
Yeah, I knew about Affinity. I could be wrong, but I thought it was 2019, 2020 is when they were like launching, and like just I had a designer who told me about it. He was all geeking about it. He's like, dude, this is the way to go. They're gonna be the huge competitor to Adobe, and I'm like, whatever, man. Like, there's no fucking way. Adobe's the shit. And then, bam, it's just
Dude, I'll be honest, like with InDesign, I feel like InDesign is the redheaded stepchild of Adobe, because they don't give it a lot of love, man. Like they don't.
You don't use InDesign.
I do.
Bro.
I use InDesign all the time, bro. Every day. Bro.
You do? Well, you do digital shit.
No, but I do like layouts and shit and like ads and stuff. So I'm always using InDesign.
Everything we do is in InDesign.
Yeah, everything
is
in
InDesign. You know, Illustrator, Photoshop stuff. But
no, I had when I went to the Adobe conference, I had this conversation with the Adobe people, and it was some issue that you could do in Photoshop and Illustrator, and I was like, why can't InDesign do this? And their answer was just like, well, the technology is not there yet. And I'm like, So you guys don't give a lot of love to InDesign, and he kind of was like, kind of.
Well, no, you use InDesign to put everything together. InDesign
It's
is
a
not a
document.
design
No,
tool.
no, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
If you used it, you would know that.
I know that, but no. No, the question was for a specific thing that I don't remember what the question was, but it was more about why could I link certain things. I don't remember what it was, but it's something that you can't do in InDesign that you could do Photoshop and Illustrator, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, why can't you do this shit in InDesign? It just makes sense if you could do it in Photoshop and Illustrator.
They should hybridize. They should make like a maybe they did. I don't know, but they should hybridize Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop into one thing where you could work on a vector-based thing and then on the fly just switch to a raster-based whatever the fuck and photo editing, and then on the fly you could switch to InDesign mode and
like
put
cycles.
it all together. And
How you go up
Yeah,
there,
you
and then
don't-
like typography and all that stuff.
It's called right click, edit in Photoshop. And then, double click that smart vector, and then bam, you're an Illustrator.
That's how much I don't use InDesign. I've only used it to make like a few books and booklets and like the layouts for my contracts, and that's
It's
it.
not user.
I know,
I
It's
love
not
it.
user
I love
friendly.
InDesign.
It's not
Yeah, I was
user-friendly.
No, it is. It is user
That's
friendly. It is. I love
90%
InDesign, man.
of mine.
I love InDesign when you know how to write scripts, when you know how to use. I never used to know how to like do paragraph styles, and now I do, working in a magazine.
No.
So click of a button, everything changes.
Everything
write my scripts,
changes,
all
yeah.
that stuff.
As long as
so,
you save it, and
yeah. So a couple questions for you,
Sure.
Roberto. As a t-shirt apparel guy, what advice do you give to up and coming artists, freelancers, junior designers? Like, what's a key thing to remember when they're doing t-shirt designs?
You'd have to want to wear it.
That's good. I love it.
Like honestly, like if you're not willing to put on the very thing you're making, then what the fuck are you making? Like it's
boom.
just simple as that. I've had this discussion so many times with apparel brands, and especially through DEF CON. DEF CON's been a great experience for the apparel because they're such a hyper niche brand. Like it's very niche, but when I talked to the owner, he said, like, I wanted to just make a shirt that's something that I could wear that didn't feel boring. Like it felt like a designer t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like it felt like streetwear, but for this niche.
Can you
And
describe that niche for our listeners who don't know what they are?
so DEF CON, their main thing in the beginning was like kind of like gun centric, but then the owner, he has these working dogs. Working dogs are like those canine dogs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, German Shepherds.
Almost like German Shepherds, Malinois. I've seen Malinois in person, dude. That is
They're called fur missiles.
That's a real thing. The power and speed they have is mind blowing. Like I had one just run by my leg, and it felt like a train just hit my leg. Like I was like, damn. Like that wants to eat you. It
Aussie
can.
Doodle.
There's yeah. I've got to shoot.
Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
Maybe
I think maybe just to stop.
frozen. But
little
while
froze.
we're
All right.
waiting,
For those listening,
this is DEF CON.
Robert's connection froze out right now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a timeout. But those of you that are watching,
Check out.
these
This is
are
DEF CON.
Belgian Malinois.
Yeah. This is
You know,
DEF
dude-
CON's Instagram.
Yep.
Oh, DEF CON's.
Yeah,
okay,
so
gotcha.
let's look at their artwork because I definitely
Dude, that's
want to.
sick.
Yeah,
That's like
that shit.
that's like Venom right there.
Yeah, it's so dope, dude.
This is, by the way, for everybody watching, this is a compilation of all of the artwork. So not all of this is Roberto's. You guys keep calling him Robert. Now
I
I'm
said
calling him
Roberto.
Robert.
I said Roberto.
This is Roberto.
Martin, can you text him and see if he's good, or if you need to
Yeah.
send him a link, since you have his number. But no, I mean, this is an awesome conversation so far. I hope everyone that's listening, especially if you're a freelancer, you are
Getting a
listening
lot
to
of-
what he's saying. Yeah, getting a lot of information, on your pricing, on your skill set, especially with apparel right now, what he just mentioned. If you're not willing to wear it, like, why are you designing it that way?
Yeah.
And also, InDesign is awesome. I don't care what
I
Martin
didn't
says.
say no. I love InDesign, bro. what I'm saying is that like Adobe needs to give him more love. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't. I think
I
it's
feel
great. I don't think
you
you
must
don't
not
shoot. You
use
shouldn't
it
be
that
able.
much.
Yeah,
You must not use it to its like full
No,
capabilities, Martin.
my question was
because there's a lot of stuff that's in it.
So my thing to them at the time was like, why could I build a library in Photoshop and Illustrator and grab from it and then drop it in, but I can't from InDesign?
because you're composing everything. You're building everything inside of Photoshop or Illustrator.
Because
You're
InDesign, the document is the library.
Yes.
If I'm understanding what you're saying, so you want to build a library, right?
Well, they have
within
that library.
Photoshop and
They have that
Illustrator.
library feature in Photoshop, and you could just like if you
Mhm,
upload all your
mhm.
logos and like structure everything. I could have my logo for a client. I could just click on it and it drops. I
Yeah.
want to do that in InDesign. I get that we have to go through the process command and
Are you sure you
It's
can't
called-
do
it's-
that?
It's called Command D.
No, I
and you can drop it
asked
in there.
at the
Because
time. I
remember-
asked them. They were like, "No, we can't do that because it's a different technology."
Well, you should double check because I'm sure that maybe I don't really use libraries too much. We have too many clients.
Right.
Yeah, same likewise.
I
Yeah.
would say I'm pretty sure they've probably added that in there. So I would double check.
you don't use InDesign to like create all this other stuff.
I
That's
don't.
what
Yeah, I don't
Illustrator
create.
and
No, yeah, I
Photoshop.
use InDesign the way it should be, like just the way you guys. We used to use it in Drop.
Yeah,
InDesign's the
yeah.
octopus.
I use
InDesign's an octopus.
InDesign.
It goes boop boop boop.
I smoke the weeds. I drink the
Yeah.
alcohols. Come on, bros.
Come on,
on,
bros. I
bros.
use it all the time.
All right, for those of you listening right now, we dropped our episode 0 tonight. So please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know how we're doing. Obviously, we're not professional podcasters; we're professional designers and artists. But check out our YouTube channel at Room250, and our Instagram Room250, and our TikTok
Yeah.
at Room250. You know,
Username
so-
at TikTok.
Yeah, go ahead, like comment, ask us questions, like, hey, stuff that you want to learn, especially as a junior designer, up and coming artist. What questions do you have? We'll definitely do our best to answer it, or try to have guests on here that are in that profession. Our channel is growing, and we want to expand and have conversations with artists from all different platforms. And honestly, here in Las Vegas, we have such a huge connection with artists that have like huge history and other elements, and not just gaming and agency stuff. They've done other things in other states and big ass companies. So we definitely have a plethora of guests that we are going to have on the podcast, and hopefully answer some of those questions and motivate you, inspire you, and just keep pushing those pixels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Have you heard anything from Roberto?
Yeah,
Martin?
he said his internet's working and it shows connected, but it just stopped. So
Not able to get back
I
in.
resent him a link, and I mean,
Okay.
cool. Have you guys are
Okay,
you guys working on anything like super cool that you guys want to share? Or
Honestly, I just this past one Sunday, I dropped the new issue. Granted, it went to print a week and a half ago, 2 weeks, of the of our magazine. And I'm I love sports. Anything to do with sports, I'm all for. Honestly, that's
Yay,
a
he's
dream
back.
job of mine.
He's back.
Hey, there he is.
Welcome back.
But just to finish out my thought here, real quick. But I did this. Hopefully, it lets me share here. Nope, screen.
We're good?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're good, bro.
Yeah,
Oh,
we can
okay.
hear you.
Excellent. Okay.
Actually, it won't let me share, so we'll just jump
Where
right
are we
back
at?
into
I
the
totally forgot
conversation.
where we're at, Robert.
We were talking about what kind of dogs we have.
Yeah. So
What-
Belgian Malinois.
Yeah.
Those dogs are high
Fur
speed,
missiles.
high drag.
Yeah.
Like
for
it's
sure.
a fur missile. Like you have a pit bull, you throw an object into a bush, and they'll stop right in front of the bush and be like, "Hey, the object is there." And then you have a Belgian Malinois, and you'll throw the same object, and they just fucking kapow! I got this motherfucker. Like if you're gonna be a
Dude.
dog owner for one of those, you need to be active. You need to run those guys. You need to, not just physically but mentally. It's sit down training and commands and all
That's
this
the
other
dog you
stuff
have, Robert?
because they need it.
No, I have a little like Lhasa Apso Shih Tzu. She's like this
Oh.
big. She's perfect for me.
I have a pit bull husky, and yeah, no, homeboy needs to be
Yeah.
active because otherwise he starts giving me attitude, and I'm like, all right, bro,
Grumble,
let's go, let's
grumble.
run you.
I have
'cause-
a
yeah.
husky Shar-Pei. I love my dog. He's my little baby. My dog loves Pete's dog. I think my dog's scared because every time he sees Pete, he's like, yeah, always, all the time, bro. Never fails. But
Does he
I
All right,
have
so
them?
let's
have
take
a
it. Oh,
house
sorry,
elf
bro.
dog. I have a house elf
Sushi.
dog.
Cute.
Oh,
Named
look at
Sushi.
that, Dobby.
Yeah.
That
She
is
just
true.
got shaved, but she's an Australian cattle dog poodle
Oh,
mix.
snaps.
Oh,
Does she have crazy energy?
Yes, yeah, and she we just went hiking and she loved that. She loved being out. She's really good about being with us at camp, but every now and then she's
Mm.
like, "Oh, I'll just go and do my own thing." And she went off and like hung out with somebody for a couple minutes, and we were like, "Where's Sushi?" And we just see her running back from their camp. We're like, "Oh no, come on!" We're like so sorry that she was over there, and they're like, "It's fine." But yeah, she's high energy. She loved camping. She loves
That's
being
awesome.
out there. Yeah. But going
Let's
back
take
to what we
a-
were talking about,
Oh.
sorry,
dogs.
No, go ahead.
I like
Roberto,
dogs.
we were talking about
DEF CON.
what DEF CON is and the niche
Yeah.
that they are.
Just working dogs. So he has a Malinois that's like
Mhm.
super trained. That thing is like scary trained. And a German Shepherd, and he was kind of in that world, and he just wanted to make an apparel brand out of that. And he was like I was like one of the first artists that he like ended up working with, and it just grew from there, and it's grown a lot. Like I didn't realize how. I mean, yes, dogs are obviously a massive market, but I didn't realize like the working dog world, how crazy it is, how like intense it is. There's competitions
Wow.
for it. There's leagues. Like it's a real thing. And even in the, I guess you can call it like the gun tactical community, like there's people that have these like high speed dogs, and like it's a real profession. Like there are people that's their job. It's like whether it's protection services, whether it's like bomb smelling, like drugs, narcotics. Like there are some crazy jobs these dogs do, and I didn't realize
Mhm.
like that's like a whole world of its own.
Oh, dude,
Um,
like canine training is amazing.
Yeah.
My understanding is that all police dogs, all the German Shepherds are born in Germany. Like they are all imported. Not a single one of those are American-based dogs. They're all
Really?
in Germany. Military dogs. I mean, I've had my experience with them. They are badass. I mean, they are little fucking missiles.
Yeah.
Not to bring up my past here, but like I had Macy, it was canine German Shepherd.
Oh wow.
She was a KIA when we were overseas.
Damn.
She actually helped track some bad guys one night, and we ended up, making them room temperature. And yeah, she unfortunately passed away, but they get trained. The
Wow.
gear that they have is just
Yeah.
amazing.
Intense. Dude. Those
So
dogs
yeah,
are next level.
it's crazy how if I were to change careers completely and be able to make a living, canine training is something that I think I would definitely enjoy,
Wow.
because that is, to me, it's amazing. And I've seen it from like when they're like 6 weeks old or 9 weeks old, ready to be pulled
Mhm.
from their mom. I mean, they train them right there at that spot. Like, do they already come through the door without being shy? Do they not get scared? And they're like, this one's good, this one's not good. Go ahead,
Mhm.
give them this, give them
Mhm.
that. And it's just amazing. Like, it's kind of cruel in a way, but it's also like, I know what this is, a tool, an extension, and you want the best dog for you.
Mhm.
They have females for certain roles, males for certain roles. But segueing on to that, I know you like to shoot weapons now. You have a slight obsession. What's your home defense? What's your everyday carry? What's something that you're like, something you're eyeballing? Like, let's talk some pew pews right now. Let's get away from the
Where
pixels.
do I start?
Exactly, brother. Exactly.
Okay, first question: do
Dude.
you carry every day?
Every day.
Oh shit.
Without question, without
Really?
every day,
Okay.
everywhere I go, like even you can tell it's on me. Like the reason why, well, first off, I Venezuelan, Cuban parents, like we have a different view of America, so our view is very like America number one, like we love everything America, right? And for me, the second I turned 21, I got a gun. Like that was like my way of like fucking America, yeah,
Hell yeah.
And I've loved guns since forever. I got in trouble in high school for drawing a gun on my notepad. I was just sitting there and like remember
Yep.
Metal Gear.
Yeah.
I was just drawing like cool art gun stuff, and this teacher freaks out. She took me to like a counselor and the principal, and they had to do a meeting. And my mom's like, "Yeah, he draws guns. So what? Like, he likes drawing. Like, whatever. Yeah, but it's." And I get it. Don't get me wrong. Like in retrospect, I can understand, but in the moment, it was so asinine and like what a waste of fucking time. But dude, I've loved. It's just I love shooting them. I like the what I like about them is that they're not the creative side of my brain, right? Like day in, day out, I'm drawing, stressing, creating, thinking, planning, creative stuff. Guns itch a part of my brain that's so opposite of that it's a nice reprieve from the creative world. Like building them, tinkering with them. I even make my own ammo.
Damn.
Like I get
Some reloader?
Yeah, I reload. I get
Nice.
deep. And I love it. I love everything about the industry, the hobby of it all, the sportsmanship side of it too. I've done some competitions, and I really like. You meet amazing people just by going to these competitions. You make friends very quick. Like you'd be surprised how open and friendly everyone is. And what are you carrying? What do you shoot? Oh, nice. And it just spirals into like, hey, let's hang out. Like it's awesome. What do I carry? That's kind of a revolving door right now. My main carry is kind of vanilla. It's a Glock 19, but it's very customized. It's got the red dot and the light and the camo. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I'll
it's
be right
Grab
back.
it so we can see.
Let
You hear that?
Grab some real quick.
That's the love laugh right there.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to show
I want
that
to
on
show my
camera.
gun.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. We're talking gun.
Everybody's grabbing their pistols.
It's what I'm saying.
Okay,
What is
sorry.
the title?
So,
You can shoot up through the
so this
computer.
is, I know this isn't design related, but
It's all good.
I worked with Spartan Arms, their gunsmith, and he actually put my logo on
Awesome.
That's sick.
Yeah,
it right there.
Sick.
ODS.
I know the owners of Spartan Arms.
They're
Yeah,
excellent
they're
people,
good. Yeah,
dude.
awesome people. Awesome people.
Chance, their gunsmith, I can't recommend him enough. He's amazing. This is what I carry every day for the most part.
Nice.
Is my little nine. For me, this is tiny.
Yeah.
I have
Mhm.
ginormous
Mhm.
hands, so this is small for me. This is a
Same.
19.
I can relate.
Everything's small in your hands, right?
Hey. This is my 19. I carry this every day. It's got the cool camo, the custom cut, laser engraving. Like, this is my Gucci gun. And then this is actually another gun from a client, which is kind of funny. They laser engraved some design stuff I did, but this is like my beater gun. This is it's
Glock.
I'm kind of a Glock fan.
Glock
so
22?
I'm very basic. This is a Glock 17
17. Okay.
with a chopped frame to a 19 size. So
Okay.
it's small frame, right?
For those of us
Yeah,
who
yeah.
aren't in guns, it's just like
Yeah.
Glock 22.
Glock
17.
gun.
Yeah,
pew,
pretty
pew.
much.
Bah, bah, bah.
But
we just lost like 3 subscribers.
No,
Oh
this
my
is
God,
great. I like learning about it. I love
This is
learning about
another
it.
custom. I used to be very plain Jane. This used to be all stock, and this is what I carried for years. Was just a stock Glock 19. Like I'm very much in the belief of
not with that sight up top. It ain't no stock.
not anymore. No. Like before, it was somewhat. This is still custom a little bit. It's got the stippling, the magwell,
Yeah.
upgraded trigger, but night sights. But this is a beat up, just shot to shit gun, and it's super accurate and reliable. I carry this everywhere.
That's well, I mean, that means you know how to use it. You're reliable with it. You're comfortable. Like that's what you want with your weapon. You don't want some like gold plated. Hey, I've never shot this thing. It's just for looks.
Cartel weapon.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
They're kind of cool.
Fully glowed plate.
Gold
Yeah.
plated.
I don't carry this on me anymore, but it's always in my car. But I have my Sig Legion right here, 9mm full steel. I mean, open well. It's
Even the
17
handle?
rounds.
The steel.
This is full steel,
Everything?
bro. Like
Oh,
this
nice.
thing is. I love this freaking weapon.
You're a
it
Sig
just
guy.
shoots freaking true all the way around. I mean,
Hell
I can't. Yeah.
He is a sick
Yeah,
guy,
I just-
but he
Six
sold me a
come up.
Glock.
Yeah, I sold you a
Oh.
Glock. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I never really used my Glock, so it was just kind of like sitting in my safe, just collecting dust. So I'm like,
Glocks
I'm a
are
friend. I'm a
bricks. They're ugly as shit, but they are beyond reliable, simple as
Mhm.
hell to figure out
Mhm.
and use and maintain.
yeah.
They really are the Honda Civic of guns. Like, you can get them Gucci'd out and make them personalized to
Yeah,
you,
yep,
how much you
yep.
want. But you can also just get a plain Jane one like I did, run it as hard as you can, get good with it. That's always a thing too. Like, just because you have one doesn't mean you have
Yeah.
one. Like,
Exactly.
you should
Yep.
have one.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
a
me.
firm
Yeah,
believer in. Thank God, 2 times
I
in my
need
life
more
I've had to pull
practice.
my gun on
Damn.
someone.
Oh
But
wow.
thank God I never had to pull the trigger. Just by pulling it out, it diffused the whole situation, and thank God it didn't
Bro,
escalate
and
from
you're
there.
He's like, Mom, I said grilled cheese.
No!
no, and
It worked though.
no, and Robert, how tall are you? Robert is a big dude, man. So
I'm
Yeah.
Like
6'6". 6'6".
You're 6'6"?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
shit.
so
Yeah,
he's
okay,
a
I
big
thought
dude.
6'3".
So
God damn.
Yeah, no,
2 times?
I'm a firm
Both
believer in
times
like
was in
Times,
defense of
bro,
my
like,
wife, which is
fuck.
yeah.
yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
when you pull it out for sure.
Yeah. She was either the first time some dude pulled a shiv on her, and I was like, all right, let's tango. And then the second time, this is a crazy story. We're at a ATM, and like I'm kind of just sitting there chilling, looking at her go to the ATM. I'm like right there, and I'm kind of keeping an eye out, being cautious. This dude must have opened like a portal. He came out of nowhere. I don't know how or where he came from. I'm looking everywhere through my mirrors, nothing. He just like shows up. And he was wearing a cowboy hat, a black blazer, a t-shirt, jeans, and sandals.
The fuck?
The fuck. He had a nunchuck.
What the fuck?
Like, that's what I said. And he was behind my wife, going up, ready to like wind up. My wife saw him and screamed. I saw him all of a sudden. I heard the scream and I see him winding up. I opened my door and I immediately drew on him. He turned and like whipped the nunchuck back. He threw his hands up and he goes, I don't do this shit no more. He threw the nunchuck and just took off running in his fucking flip-flops.
I don't
Whoa,
do this shit no
bro.
more.
Dude,
You
this
saved
guy
your
was-
wife's life.
Damn.
Yeah, well, 2 times basically, and like, thank God I was armed, because otherwise I'd have to like physically get involved, like beat him up or something. But then that runs the
Yeah.
risk of getting hurt too, right?
Yeah.
But fuck it, like I'm gonna defend my wife no matter what.
No,
And, like,
100%. Yeah.
Thank God I had the gun on me. Like I'm a huge proponent in being educated, smart,
sure.
and like understanding the responsibility of gun ownership. It's not a fucking game, right? Like,
Yeah.
it can be a toy. Don't get me wrong. We treat them like toys, but they're not. And I thank God. Like, for me, it's one of those things that I'm just blessed that I was armed, because I made that decision and was, something that people should take like their own defense into their own hands, especially time and time. I think we've seen that's more and more the case. Like, you're kind of on your own.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
But it's also nice
Even
you
with-
didn't have to fire it. I mean,
I was very like, as soon as I pulled it out and presented and lined up my sights, the guy saw me aiming at him and
Took off.
instantly diffused the situation.
Good.
Like,
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah, no, like you said, just because you have a gun doesn't mean you know how to use a gun.
Correct.
And that's
Correct.
especially at home
Mhm.
defense. When it's home defense, like, you have to know your surroundings. You have to know the kind of ammo that you have, because you don't want to kill your neighbor out of fear, or
Yeah.
out of self-defense. And that's a lot of thing that a lot of people don't do is,
No.
hey, do you know how to clear your house if something goes bad? Do you know where your choke points are in your own home? Do you know if someone breaks in, like,
tactical, I love it.
yeah, exactly. No, get tactical on this shit,
Well,
for real. Like, I mean, I'm an army guy,
He's-
man.
yeah.
I combat arms and shit.
Use your Illustrator skills to draw a map of your home.
No, but like,
Yeah, like,
figure.
I know where my choke points are in my home, and I know which directions
Yeah.
to shoot and not kill my neighbor. I know what weapons to shoot and not kill I'm not gonna grab my AR and like go after someone if they're breaking into my house.
Oh, for
But
sure.
do I have my shotgun within hand reach? Fuck yeah. Do I have my pistol within hand reach? Fuck yeah, I do.
Yeah.
My wife also knows how to shoot, so like that's the thing. Like, practice your shit. Learn, be comfortable with your weapon.
Mhm.
Because right now we're drinking and all this other shit. You should know how to react in those situations too. You know, if you had like 1 or 2 beers and someone breaks in, you can't be all like, "Oh shit, I'm all fucking
What the
fucked
fuck
up."
are you doing?
You know, but know those choke points, know your house, know how to clear, know everything about that shit. So it's very important.
It's a tool for, let's be real, gun is intended and designed to like put holes in people, point blank.
100%.
Know what that means and how that, you know, can be used, and understand the responsibility of it. Don't fuck around. Like I ran a gun store for like 2-3 years. I know the other side of that interaction. I would straight up tell people like, look, man, you should probably first go figure out what you like, train on it a little bit, go to a range, rent it, try it. I'm not going to try and sell you something you don't need, right? And then 2, you don't need all the fancy shit. Get something that you like, that's reliable and reputable, and train as much as you can with it. Because
100%, brother.
in the moment you need it, you always, and I've learned this, I've done judo for 8 years, jiu-jitsu now for 4. When your adrenaline is through the roof and you're dead tired, which, believe it or not, when you have to pull your gun, your heart rate goes through the fucking roof. You're always going to revert to like what you trained the most. Muscle memory kicks in, and whatever you did the most constantly under stress is what comes up. And that applies to anything, even in design. Like whatever you use the most and you're the most strong at is what you'll use the best under pressure. That is just a human thing. That's not a design thing. And that applies to self-defense, design, everything. So reps, get your reps in, get as many
100%.
reps as you can.
Yeah.
And
I
like
always tell my friends.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, I actually try to like sometimes when I go to the range, I'll actually like sometimes go with my friends and we'll like run around a bit to get our heart rate up, and then do certain drills based on that to really see where we're at. Because it's very easy to go up to the range and just, you know, blah, blah, okay, cool, I'm good.
Yeah. All right, look at that. I got him right in the head.
Every
Look at
hole
that.
is right
Centered.
there.
Yeah.
But then you run around, and then you actually have to wear like a battle belt or put on some kit, run around in 100 degrees, back and forth, and then you go back and you're like, what the fuck? Okay. Oh, this is a lot harder than I thought. Like you realize very quickly this is a lot harder under stress. So
yeah, I
100% train.
Yeah, when me and my wife first started dating and we went shooting, you know, we were standing still and she's shooting. She's like, bam, look at that headshot. Bam, look at that center mass. I'm like, great. Now we're going to do the same thing 25 meters back, and you're going to walk towards that target. And fucking shot groups all over the place. She's like, holy shit. I'm like, okay, now we're gonna move forward. We're gonna advance and move to the right, and then we're gonna drop a magazine, and then we're gonna reload. And her shot group was all over the place. She's like, holy shit, it's a lot harder. I'm like, that's real life though. You're not just gonna stand there and fucking shoot and be like, bam, get away from me. So big things. But I'm a big component of just shotguns. If you don't like a big fancy John Wick kind of guy, get yourself a shotgun, get yourself a pistol. That's all you really need, honestly. You have your shotgun.
For home
defense,
for
home defense.
For
home
me,
defense.
like,
definitely.
I told you this, Pete. Like, my son doesn't live with us, but he knows he comes into our house, and he decided to come in like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. In the middle of the night, my alarm's on. He doesn't let me know he's coming over. I don't even know why the fuck he was over for. But in the middle of the night, we're already knocked out. Alarm goes off and just goes beep, and I'm like stunned, like what the fuck's going on? But I make the connection right away. I'm like, oh, it's my son coming over. But I noticed that I was sluggish, and if that was the situation in my mind, I didn't know what I should have done, and that stayed with me. And I told Pete, I was like, fuck, I didn't like my reaction. So yeah, it's important to kind of like, if you're at home, we are comfortable, but if somebody breaks in, you have to be able to react like that and grab your gun and load it. Because I don't keep my gun loaded. I have a gun and I have a shotgun for defense. I have a KRR. It's like a 9mm. It's like a really small gun, bro. It's for like
arms. They're more known for like CCW builds.
So for sure.
And I have a nice shotgun. I forgot the name of it, but anyways. But I still need to go practice. I need to be a better gun owner. So I need to go practice. I need to go shoot it. I need to learn more about it. But I also need to learn to have a plan if somebody does break into my house for me to react and, be able to react in a like less, I don't know, less than a minute for you to be able to load your shit up and get ready to defend?
Rehearse it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rehearse it. Like actually, like play it out. That's the best way to find out what doesn't work is if you just like practice it. Like you'll quickly find out, like, oh, I don't like my gun here. It took me longer to grab. Like, just practice it. That's why we sketch so many sketches on a project, right? Is a form of practice till we figure out what doesn't work. The same thing applies here. Like, figure out, rehearse it, and you understand where this is, where that is, how quickly can I react. Like me, I have a different Glock, a Glock 41, which is like the 45 version of their competition model. And I also have a red dot and a light on it. And that's my home defense gun. Like, it's strictly just for that and nothing else. So when I go to the range, I have it ranged for the furthest distance in my home. I have it set up just for what I could potentially, God forbid, have to face in that kind of event or scenario. So I know when I grab it, I'm 100% comfortable with it and know that wherever I point it, I know everything's already dialed in. I'm ready to go, right? And I know it's off topic, but it's like, like unironically, when I got it into freelance, I really wanted to work with gun companies. And now that I do actually do a lot of stuff with gun brands, which is fucking great. Like, you meet a lot of cool people. Like, I had a very weird misconception of the gun world in the design aspect, meaning there's a lot of creative people in the gun industry too.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be very surprised at how much they understand
Huge
and
market.
value. Yeah, it's enormous, man. Like, I have the privilege of going to SHOT Show every year, and like every year I'm blown away at how massive it is. Like, it's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's a massive industry. It's huge. It's enormous. I love guns, so I was like, well, maybe some people want cool fucking art for guns and stuff, and like it turns out they did. So I've had
Can you tell us some of the stuff you've designed for?
I've worked
please,
with, he's like, yes, please, yes.
Yeah.
give me the juicy details.
Because I've been wanting to get into that industry too, but I just did like a lot of like product design, and it was just like my own weapons and like tagging people and just hey, I could take cool pictures of your shit, like creative stuff.
Yeah,
but no, gun industry definitely up my alley.
Yeah, it's okay. So I've worked with like Q, ADM, Night Vision, Mentu, Magpul. Damn, on the spot, my brain's like, who else? There's a few other Vertex, SOG Knives, Kalashnikov USA, the Navy, which is kind of cool. Actually, I got to work with them.
That was the patch that you created, right?
Yeah, for a fighter. So these like fighter pilots in Japan, their group or corps or like unit, I guess you could say, they wanted a cool patch design because like patches are a big thing in the military, and their units have their own individual patches.
This guy,
and he's like, we wanted something cool to like rub in the faces of everyone else. I'm like, okay, bet, let's do it. And did some stuff with the Navy, and like they really liked it, and like they always show off like the cool design, and everyone else's designs are so like bland and everything. But yeah,
that's awesome. Do you still have that patch anywhere near you, or like additional ones?
Not close to me. It's on one of my play carriers in the
Is
closet.
it on your do you have it on your Instagram?
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, it's a red one with like camo next to it. Not the latest one, but way down. You actually go down, you'll see it. It's a red one.
Look at that.
My closest flex to you on that would be, I actually designed the patch for Night County.
There. Oh, nice.
Yeah, their current patch. That's my design.
No Rest for the Wicked. Oh yeah, Neomag. I've worked with Neomag.
Bro,
really
that's
cool.
sick, man.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
That's really dope.
Yeah.
So they ended up going with the circle one, obviously, because that's more. It makes sense for like what they do. But
where's the circle?
Yeah, I don't see it.
They wanted a Japanese theme simply because they're stationed in Japan.
Oh, that's
No Rest 4. So they're like the fourth unit. They wanted to incorporate the number 4. So we kind of went with like No Rest for the Wicked. It's kind of a play on words.
Yeah, is this where you started getting into the Japanese traditional tattooing?
I've always loved.
It was always okay.
Like I did stuff with Synergy Systems, So credit to
Keep
the
it there,
guy there,
Martin.
Phil. He wanted to create some cool Japanese inspired stuff. It's actually on my website. I don't think I have it yet on my socials yet, but yeah, I've always loved all things Japan, and like their Japanese tattoo art is, for me, it's like I'm both exploring and learning and also creatively interpreting it, you know? So I've always loved doing that, man.
So this
Sorry,
is badass.
Thank
And
you,
obviously the layout of it, I mean, as an army guy, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So how does this translate to, you know, obviously as a vector art, you have the highlights and shadows and all this other stuff. But when it comes to a patch, you're looking at, you know, thread. How does that translate to that?
So they ended up going with PVC, and it turned out really good.
Ah, okay.
The
PVC
is like a plastic, I guess, like a rubbery plastic. So they have embroider, woven, or PVC. PVC is that plasticky, rubbery patch. I don't know if you've ever seen one. I wonder if I have.
Yeah, I have like my cert one here. It's like rubber.
Is that the rubber? Yeah, okay.
That rubber material, that's PVC. Yeah.
Okay.
Woven is basically, it's like embroidered, but it's not. It's like a nice thin, like it's actually better than embroidery in my opinion, because you can get way more detail and colors. Embroidery is just straight embroidery. Like it's stitched. Mil-spec monkey. Yeah,
right there, like that's PVC.
That's
PVC.
tactical rubbery, plasticky. Yeah. So they ended up doing PVC, which surprised me. And what's nice is like when you layer your stuff right, the manufacturers can then actually take those layers and use them correctly. Because if it's all flattened on one, it's kind of a hassle for them. So that's why we could get away with doing PVC on that one.
Oh, that's awesome. So for something like that, like how did you even come across that kind of client? And then if you don't mind me asking, what was your price tag on that?
Sure. That was how long ago? I want to say 2018. It was definitely pre-COVID. 2017, 2018. They reached out to me via email because they liked some of the stuff I was doing, and they found me on Instagram. And I think I gave them a hookup because, you know, it was the Navy, and like he told me, like, you know, we're just a bunch of fighter pilots, and like, yeah, we have to get it approved through our commanding officer, but they don't have a big budget. And like, I was like, and he told me like max they could do, I think, was 1,000. And I said, how about this? I'll do it for $750. I'm not going to charge you the full. I didn't charge them a lot, to be honest. And they were super stoked about it because he's like, yeah, we could use that extra budget to actually buy the patches for our unit. I was like, all right, perfect. Dude. And gave him like a pretty hefty discount. But I was like, you know what? Like, it's a cool project. The guy was really cool. And I've never done anything for like a bunch of fighter pilots. I was like, why the fuck not?
Hell yeah.
Sure. So
yeah,
I took it
that's
on.
Pretty badass. Yeah, that's pretty badass, bro.
Like, yeah, pretty much. I was like, dude, like, that would be cool to do more stuff like that for units. I'd love to do something like that. That'd be epic. Just to know, like, there's some dude flying a fucking fighter pilot plane, like, in Japan with my art on his shoulder, you know? Yeah. Like, that's fuck yeah.
Yeah, the one I did for Knight County, it's not as artistic as yours, but it's still like cool, you know. It's on Cops, it's on Cop LV, it's on all that stuff. Like all of Knight County is wearing the patch that I designed.
There's
so
something
that to me
about
is kind of
that,
like
so cool.
That's fucking badass. I mean, if you have extra ones, bro, I'm all for like patch trade. So I'll definitely trade you one of my old unit
I have
ones.
one left.
I know. Okay.
I might have to reach out to him and be like, "Hey, do you guys have any more?"
No, for sure. I mean, I'll trade you an old unit patch of mine.
Yeah. He sent me 3. No, he sent me 4. I gave one to a friend of mine, and then another was a patch swap, and then the last one was a patch swap with someone else. And then the last one I kept for myself. I'm like, I actually kind of want one, so I'll keep this one for sure.
You gotta keep your own.
You guys are patch swappers. I don't even know what that is. You guys swap patches.
Yeah, we go to these dark alleys at night and we pull out our patches.
Does this have Velcro or does it not have Velcro?
Is this PVC or woven?
Is this IR or no?
You rub it on your face first. Oh yeah.
Speaking, actually, I have here. So this is a funny story on this patch. I got this at SHOT Show at a patch swap. So I gave him
Oh hell yeah, rip and dip.
Rip and dip. Yeah, I gave
Yeah.
this guy a DEF CON patch. He really liked it, so we swapped. I went to Licensing Expo and walked by the Rip and Dip booth, and they stopped me. And they said, "Where did you get that?" I'm like, "I got a patch swap at some guy at another convention. He really liked my patch stuff, and we swapped." And I realized, like, I'm talking to the Rip and Dip guys themselves, like the owners of the brand, and they did not like that I had a patch.
Oh,
I said, and the guy's like, "We don't make patches. Where did you get that?" I'm like, "I'm telling you, dude, I did a patch swap. I really like your brand. I like, it's funny, the little cat." And I thought that'd be cool to have. I was wearing this at the Licensing Expo, and I'm walking around with the patch, and the guy's like, "Well, we don't make those patches. Where did you get that?" I'm like, "I just some patch shop." He's like, "Well, yeah, dude, we don't make those patches." I'm like, "Okay, what do you want?" Like,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right.
What do you want me to do?
He started giving me attitude, and then one of his friends came over. He's like, "Hey, man, sorry about that. It's just we've never seen anyone wear a patch." I was like, "Well, maybe you should make them." Like, fuck.
yeah. I mean, obviously people want them.
Yeah,
If I didn't
I
know
support
that
that.
they didn't, I thought it was just a rip and dip patch. I didn't think that there was some like unsanctioned thing.
Yeah.
And I understand it. I'm at the very expo where that's the whole point of the thing, right? But like, fuck, relax.
How fucking dare you? All right.
I like your brand. Like, we should actually team up and make something. How about that? Like, I actually like what you guys do. It's really cool. But yeah, I'm very fortunate, I guess you could say, because I've worked with a lot of like Zero Group. I had cheated their logo, so they sent me this one, like black dot one.
That's cool.
And then obviously that one.
Nice.
Very nice.
So I did their logo, and they're really cool, man. They do a lot of like custom AR stuff, and they're really high end. But, like I'm very like lucky that I get to do stuff for brands that I myself would want to use.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So that's a big thing too. Like, if you're a designer out there and you want to work, let's say in, I don't know, shoes or something, like make your own clients at first. Like, just make them. Like, make up fake clients, even real client brands, and just make a project that's not real if you don't have a lot of work, and just do that and start building off of that. Because like I didn't have any gun related brand stuff, so I just started drawing cool gun shit, and then little by little I ended up having actual gun related brand stuff. So
smart.
If you want to jump into a certain industry, just make shit for them. Not directly for them, but make shit.
Design stuff that you want to work with.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, brother.
1000%.
So what as we wrap up here, what advice do you have for up and coming artists? Like, if you could look back and give yourself advice 10 years ago, like what would you tell current and upcoming designers?
Quit, get Bitcoin.
No,
as much as you can.
Apple stock.
Yeah, invest. Fuck this. Don't do this. Honestly, if I could go like 10 years, I'll answer this in two ways. First would be like, if I go 10 years in the past and talk to myself, definitely would have focused more on the business side of things, like, which kind of a catch-22. If you don't get good creatively, you can't, progress. Yeah. But definitely would have focused a bit more on the business side of things, and also, I don't know, I guess just like perhaps in the very beginning, taking on a role. I had a few offers for jobs that were quite good in the beginning, and like I probably could have taken them just to get the experience of being in that kind of environment. But then again, I've never been the person that melds well in those environments, so I don't know if that would have been the right advice anyway. And secondly, like, if you're a fresh artist now, it's kind of hard to wrap my head around them facing the enormity of social media, having to, if you really want to stand out to get followers, you're going to have to compromise a lot of yourself, and it's my personal opinion, your own self-worth in what it is you do to do that. Meaning, you got to be willing to do the dances and the funny things and the pointing up top and then making the tiki-takis, make the silly faces, Like, you got to be willing to do that.
Yeah.
I cringe and die inside when I do that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't muster that in me for some reason. So you're now facing that. You're facing AI as well, which, if you're getting into the creative space, you're gonna have to learn it. But don't discredit the ability to be really good at something. Like, if you're a very good artist, double down on that, because not everyone
Yeah.
has that talent. If you're really good at typography, double down on that. Right? If you're really good at whatever it is in the world of design, like, double down on your strengths, right? Your weaknesses are always going to be there and you can improve on them. But I think everyone has an innate natural talent within them. Everyone has something that's unique to them. Maybe they're musicians, whatever it is in the creative world, like, they have that thing in them that's them, that's their thing, right?
Sets them apart.
So yeah, so find out what that is, and that's going to be through trial and error. And be the one thing I definitely would tell myself in the past, and new artists, be patient. It's even now I'm very impatient, and it's something I still have to work with myself. That, I've started in 2015, quote unquote, freelance, but I'd say in the last 5 years was when I really started. Those first 5 years were more me figuring shit out, growing, and it's almost like your first 5 years are middle school, your second 5 years are like high school, and then, like, once you're 15, 20 years in is when you're really, really, I'd say, like, you're a master at that thing.
You should be a master, yes, at that time.
Yeah, by then, for sure. So for me, be very patient. I'm a very impatient person. I'm very like, now, I need it now. Like, it's got to happen. But it takes time, man. Everything takes time. So, like, if you're a fresh artist, man, like, I'll remember when I was very young, I would draw almost like it was like I was possessed. Like, I'd stay up till 3, 4 in the morning, just listening to music, just draw. Next page, draw. Like, I was possessed. And that's how I got really good at drawing. So if you're young, take advantage of your youth, man. Like, I can't stay up 3, 4 in the morning, do that shit anymore. Like, between life and everything else going on, you're going to feel that shit. So
oh yeah,
take advantage of your youth to explore and learn. And like I really sometimes feel like I was blind when I was young. Like, almost like I wasn't awake to the world. Like, now I feel like I see more of the world in my own view. Of course, everyone has their own perspectives, but I feel like now I can actually, like, process the world a bit better than when I was young. I feel like when you're young, you're somewhat myopic. Like you're kind of caught up in being young, and you don't see shit for what it is, right?
oh
So
yeah.
like, if I could go back and put the lenses that I have now on, like, my 20-year-old self, I'd probably become like Iron Man or fucking Dr. Doom. Like, just like the ability to, like,
become
just
Dr.
the ability to just the ability to see shit through that kind of lens is crazy. That's why, like, when old people tell you shit, listen to them. Because
no, for sure. Yeah,
they're not only telling you
advice.
something, they're telling themselves something they wish they could have told, and they see the opportunity to tell you.
Oh yeah.
Like, I see this all the time. Like, I'll train with, like, 16-year-olds in jiu-jitsu that are, like, full of life, and you feel it when you're training with them. Like, they're, like, energetic, and, like, you feel the energy coming off of them. And, like, you kind of have to coach them a little. Like, hey, relax, do this, do that. This is what you should do better. Because you're now at an older age where you've been thrown hard enough or been hurt enough to where, like, if you do that enough times, it's going to catch you in the wrong way.
Oh yeah.
And that is definitely what I feel like. If I could go back, would be that. And then definitely for the younger kids now, it's like, it's going to be hard, man. I think AI is going to change things a lot, while at the same time, it's going to be incorporated more and more into our daily lives. I mean, shit, even like Instagram has AI. Meta AI is now a thing. Like,
dude,
everything is getting infused with AI, because it, for the most part, is taking a lot of the burden of the basic shit. I don't see it taking over creativity for the most part, but if I'm young, I'm definitely scared. Like, would have to now respect design and definitely look at the old masters. I think no one I remember I went to CSN to do some talk to like the new crop of kids, and like 90% of them are doing everything digitally, like everything. And I was like, does no one
That's
have a
nuts.
sketchbook?
I
Yeah,
have
Old
there you go.
masters right here.
Dude,
I think they
buy
give it to
anatomy.
all of us, but yeah.
Nice, an anatomy book. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I
have
That's
that
how
one.
I got really good at drawing. Was credit to my stepdad. He took me to art stores and would buy me anatomy books, how to
Yeah.
draw manga books. Like that was how I cut my teeth at drawing, dude. Just like people ask me, how do you do that in Illustrator? I'm like, I just draw it.
I
Like,
have
what do you?
I have
there
this
you go.
one.
Like,
I have
Well,
that
yeah, that's a
one.
good
bro.
one. Yeah.
No.
And then I have Human Anatomy for artists.
Boom. Yeah.
Nice. Old school.
I have.
Like this was my one of my favorite ones because it was just so recently I just found out that you could be like a I forgot what it's called, like scientific artist, illustrator or some shit. They earn a really good income, but you just draw or illustrate or animate like all the shit that
Anatomically.
doctors need.
Correct.
Yeah, no, that doctors need. Like
Yeah.
when you draw a virus, when
Mm.
you do animation of how like a virus attacks a cell, or like how you do
Whoa.
anatomy,
That'd be
like this
dope.
kind of shit. You could actually
I'm gonna draw
be an
some
artist and
elbows for a living.
draw that stuff. And I'm like, holy shit, man! Like these guys can earn six figures, after a couple of
All right, I'm
years.
switching.
That's dope. Like, that to me was amazing. I'm
Here
like,
on
shit.
out.
If yeah, right.
Straight
Draw
up anatomy,
bones.
dog.
All right.
No,
So,
books. Also
Oh.
books. Buy your
Roberto?
books. Sorry.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
This is
Yeah,
one that
seriously.
I
Japanese
really
tattoos,
like.
dude. I love
have
tattoo artists. I learned so much from tattoo artists.
big time.
Amazing.
I mean,
Big
as you
time.
can
I-
see here, lots of books. But yeah, like
Oh yeah, same. Like all here,
Reference.
and I have books back here, reference like
Great.
crazy. My comic books
Buy
too.
your books,
Like
dude. I love art books
Oh,
from big
Ghost of
companies.
Tsushima.
Wow.
Yes.
nice.
Buy,
game.
you'd be surprised how
Nice.
much you can do. Even like icons and logos, they'll put them in there.
Yeah.
You'll find out like, oh shit, they actually created a full icon set. Like, just buy books and read them. I know it's old. Yeah, buy some books, boys. But like, and shout out to Lincoln Design. Like, they're super fucking. I got to meet them in person.
Lincoln
They're
Design.
amazing.
Yo, that to
Good
me is
stuff.
always a creative bonus.
Sick.
Sekido,
bro.
yeah, dude. And I
Li-
write.
li-
I literally put post-its of like inspirations because some shit
Yeah.
you're not
Look at
gonna
that shit,
find on
bro.
the internet.
Yeah,
Look at that.
yeah. No,
Fucking sick.
Lincoln Design is one of those agencies that's like that's one of the dream jobs to me. Of
Yeah,
like,
they're a
dude,
monolith.
I just want to have a conversation
powerhouse.
with these guys. I want to have
Yeah.
beers with them and like just shoot
Oh,
the shit
yeah.
with them because the shit that they create is just
maybe
I
the
mean,
next
amazing,
6
fucking
episodes.
amazing. Yeah,
Eventually,
we'll get them. We'll get
eventually.
them on.
We'll
here.
get 'em
No,
soon.
no
Bro,
problem.
Yeah.
when it comes to this industry, I'd say like they're, if not top two, they're one of the top agencies for creative work. Period.
No, yeah. Have you ever
Period.
heard of Hero Design, HDR? Yeah, I
Sounds
think
familiar.
it's out of San Diego.
That
It's
sounds familiar.
three dudes out of San Diego. It's a small little agency, and I mean they
Is
create.
Mendoza creative part of it?
I do not know that. I don't
Might be
know.
them. What
But
is
I know
it?
it's
How do you spell it?
HDR Design. I know they're based out of San Diego.
Might be
Or
them.
HRD Hero. Let me. My phone is recording, so I can't look at my Instagram.
HRO design. You mean?
Yeah, HRO. Yeah, HRO Design. They're based out of San Diego. I know that. That's all I remember. So if you guys are hearing this, jump onto the podcast. But they create fucking amazing design too for three dudes that are just
Is it this
HRO
one?
Design. Yep, that's them. I call them Hero.
Yes.
HRO.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean
that's dope, dude.
they do awesome work.
Yeah.
Crayola.
Again, I saw a tour of the little studio. It's a nice office. The clients that they pull, they're very they communicate very well through like social when you comment on their stuff. They do big dumps at a time because obviously they're busy. So, they're like, hey, they're absent for like 6 months, and then all of a sudden, bam, here's all this work. So that's pretty. Yeah, I mean, that's what shows that you're doing work out there. You're busy. If you're constantly posting on social, you're obviously not busy. So,
That's
yeah,
fucking
these guys are
sick,
amazing.
dude. Look at that.
I love the caliber of design that they're doing for just three dudes, and
Mhm.
that's one of the things here why we created Room 250 was share that knowledge, talk
Yeah.
about design, talk about up and coming artists, talk about agencies, and just not gatekeeping. That's the biggest thing. Don't gatekeep. Inspire our
Big
community.
time. Yeah.
Share things. The biggest over thing, like how can we answer questions of the community? How can you get hired here? What's if you're gonna go full-time freelancer? What can you do? That kind of stuff. So again, thank you so
Thanks,
much for
Robert.
being our guest.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You
man. This
share
was this was a blast.
knowledge, and I hope to do it again. But before we end, I'm going to Martin, if you want to do the timer here, I'm going to shoot off a bunch of questions to you, just to fry your brain here at the end. I don't know if you're okay. There you go. I thought your camera froze.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions, and then we'll just wrap up. And again, thank you for your time.
Are you ready?
Likewise,
Martin. Ready? Yep. And Mac or PC?
Mac.
Photoshop or Illustrator?
Come on, Illustrator.
Goku or Vegeta?
How am I so torn on this one? For the sake of just in Goku. I mean, my name my cat
or
Goku.
tacos?
Yeah.
Tacos. What the fuck?
Wacom tablet or iPad?
iPad.
Oh, nice. Color
iPad.
pencils or color markers?
Color pencils or color markers? Markers.
All right. Superman or Goku?
The fuck, Goku?
Which would be who would be your starter Pokemon?
Like from the original set where
Original
you have to pick? Squirtle.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Favorite collectible?
That's it, guys.
Oh man.
No.
Let me answer. Let me answer.
Favorite collectible?
That I have?
Just favorite collectible.
Oh my god! Well, I have over 100 DBZ figures in my studio that you can't see.
Do you design in your house? Obviously, right? You don't have like a rental space or anything like that.
Yeah,
you have your studio in your house.
Home studio. Yeah. I was super inspired by Draplin. He's like, I do it in my house. I was like, all right, me too.
Fuck yeah.
Oh my. Okay, I got gifted from DEF CON. I don't know if you could see it back there since it's actually visible. You see that little baby Yoda?
No,
back there?
I mean
Grogu. Right.
Oh, I kind of see it.
There.
I see the shape.
He's kind of hunkered away because he's huge. That's an actual sideshow collectible baby Yoda.
I see it.
And those are, I didn't realize how like expensive and cool those are until like I Googled it. I was like, holy shit, this is no joke. So if I was to say that price wise, probably that one. But my favorite that I look at every day, I have a Zaku here. I'm a huge Gunpla nerd, and this is how he's set up. Kind of dumb, right?
Ooh, I was going to ask you.
A Vader, an actual Darth Vader like lightsaber that I got at Disney, which I paid way too much money for. But it's all about the memories.
So I saw Sly. I saw Sly when he went to Star Wars Land, and there was a photo that he took with his wife and his kid, and he was happy. But then there was a picture of him by himself with a lightsaber, and I've never seen 9-year-old Sly be so happy in his life.
Yeah.
In his life, he was just like, "I am a Jedi." What's
let's shit.
Yeah, I would do the same thing. All right, pen tool or magic wand?
Pen tool.
All right, 9mm or 45?
Oh, fuck. I have both of them, and as a giant man, I've come to really love 45 because everything around that there's small guns, but it's big. But I reload and shoot an ass load of 9, so 9. 9
all right.
all day. Yeah.
Boxing or jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu, without a question. I'm
All
very
right.
partial to judo. I love judo a lot more than jiu-jitsu. Don't get me wrong. I love jiu-jitsu to my bones, but judo was like my first sport and love, and I still love it to this day. But between
Awesome.
those two, jiu-jitsu, I do jiu-jitsu more than judo now, just because of my body. But yeah, jiu-jitsu.
Nice.
So maybe I missed it. I saw you hold up a Xenon. Are you
Yes,
Federation or
Zaku.
Xenon?
They're both morally corrupt and horrible, but I love Zaku's, man. Just look at that. Just look at the chunk on that boy.
Look at that guy right there.
I know you're an Earth Federation unicorn guy. That's cool. Okay. But just look at those legs. I mean, come on.
I
And then
know.
the
I do love the Xenon chonk like that they put on there. It's
the
so
chonk.
good. Yeah.
Speaking, I have a gigantic Gundam. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's right there. He's huge. But I personally love Zaku's. I don't know what it is about them. They're thick with 3 C's. I love it.
Any last words, Roberto? Any plugins? Your Instagram, where do people follow you?
Oh, yeah.
Reach out to you, all that stuff.
Yeah. My website. So it's my last name with design studio. So orozcodesignstudio.com. OROZ as in zebra, C as in cat O, design studio across the board. Instagram, Orozco Design Studio. Dribble, Behance, all that, Orozco Design Studio. You can find no TikToks for me, no pointing, no dancing, no making faces. I know.
Soon enough, we'll get that.
Hey, you guys like vector art? Hey. Like,
awesome.
Yeah, find me on there. On Instagram, I'm usually on Instagram a lot. So just hit me up, DM me, whatever, say hi. I love talking with people. There's nothing.
Thanks for coming on, Robert. I really appreciate it. And so to put this out to the community, like Robert, the way that I know he gets back is he always goes to the reviews, the portfolio reviews. And for CSN, he's always there talking to students. And I really appreciate you doing that, because that takes time out of your day for you to stop working and making your money. You go drive to CSN and you talk to these students and you give them insight, and it's very valuable insight that you're giving them. And we appreciate you for doing that. Thank you.
No, yeah, man. It's always an honor just to like spend time and do those kind of things, just because I've been on the other end of that. So I know what it feels like. And I definitely feel like if I can give back just a little bit, even if it's like some critique where I'm like, yeah, your shit sucks, but fix it.
Yeah.
I needed that.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Like, it's definitely worth doing. Yeah, man. Thank you guys a ton. I really do appreciate your time as well.
Thank you.
Take us out.
All right, guys, with my squeaky voice.
This was such a good time.
I really enjoyed this.
Good time, thank you.
You like my Gundam, dude?
Oh, Rick.
Oh, so follow us.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video. Follow us on all social medias, and have a great night. Thank you so much.
Keep grinding, keep leveling up, keep at it. Don't give up. If you have any questions, hit us up. We'll be happy to help you out. We'll see you next time, guys.